Haven any moment now. As we get into the game, stakes are high. This BO3, Sunset up next, Ascent to close us out. It all starts here, and the question on everyone's mind is, do we see EDG reach a new level? Because they have to. That opening matchup was disappointing, to say the least. But if anything, it's unusual to see a team under-deliver 2 times in a row. I think that was a wake-up call.
Oh yeah, I think it almost had to be. It's interesting for me that the swap from 100 Thieves, just because throughout the qualifier, we saw them playing with this composition and absolutely battered MIBR with it. So it's like, there's definitely been times where I think this has worked for them, but at the same time, I think that Yoru right now is such a sort of strong choice in terms of the agent pool, so I can't really say I'm overly surprised. I don't think it will change too much about how this composition is overall going to be played. Nonetheless, as you said, I think EDG, they're going to have the opportunity here to obviously set the tone in terms of the pacing. I think Haven has been a pretty comfortable map for them, and over at least the last couple of times they played it, it's been that defensive side where they've been strong, so kind of have to wait and see if they're going to be able to at least put up a decent showing here as they're starting out on that attack side.
Well, kicking us off, it will be a
I must wait a moment.
Clear intention to take this towards the A site from EDG. They've left a trap on C for the push, but it is 5 players down through long. A direct attack. And Boostio, the one with the pressure on, but rotation's already in. Asuna here, dropped immediately, and another following up as 100 Thieves lose most players on the site. Cryo managing to fly under the radar at least, picks up one. The Paranoia delivered, gets him a second, but they're losing players second by second. Xander in for the double, leaves him in a 1v1. And a close bar with the HP low. It doesn't matter. ZJC able to take it across the line.
Yeah, someone who came over, I believe, from Tai Lu, and has definitely shown some promise in the past. Of course, you might be wondering, have I seen this guy before? It is the name change away from what was quite a few more letters thrown into the mix. It just slips my mind. I think Clinton had it down, so I'll wait for him to come back, and he'll be able to let you know of that one. But no, a strong showing in the pistol from him, and what I like to see as well is just the Kankan show already getting off to a good start. The fact that he's so aggressive in that pacing. I think especially on a map like this, if you can get him rolling, he's going to be a terrifying force. But the same could be said for Cryo. He still did some damage on the site. Of course, in the best of 1 stage, we were talking about the value of the pistols, and it doesn't change at least per map, but of course, a lot more of an opportunity to reset into the next if things don't go your way.
On that 1-0 start, attack looking to repel towards the A site. Fortunately, Kankan's already been taken down. Cryo with the classic pick, but there's plenty of players a little bit further away, able to clean up some of those fights, able to deny any retrieval of weaponry. And 100 Thieves, well, they don't have much of a choice. Classics in hand. A situation where obviously we're not expecting a ton of damage, but anything from this point forward will stand to benefit them. Taking it nice and slow, of course, is that attacking side. Wary of pistols lurking around any corner, and for good reason. Xander almost getting one with the element of surprise.
Yeah, luckily, got Smoggy to watch his back. For EU, getting out of the smoke shouldn't be easy. He's at least going to get the info of where these remaining players are, but it's nobody to clear out that final pick. A little bit dangerous in the early stages of the round, and some decent damage done, unfortunately, for the side of 100 Thieves. They keep all the weapons over. They're going to come in with 5 rifles for the next. Of course, not quite in the Vandal and Phantom camp, so the buy for the defensive side will be that little bit better, but clearing out, they're still going to have to be quite careful with the caliber of player that's on the other side.
Yeah, this is really where the game will be a little bit meatier, I suppose. A solid start for EDG, a 2-0 up, but this round, quite a bit of promise.
Okay.
That's
all right.
Unfortunate way to lose a player off rip. He's just taking him down through the window. Okay, already 1 player down. That's going to be the Outlaw left on the floor as they trade off to take the Guardian. But still, 2 Guardians, 2 Bulldogs, and an A site mostly open. Decent shooting hands. They've slowed it down, though.
Yeah, and also they've reclaimed the space on the A site. I think 100 Thieves making a very good read early on of where they're likely to double back to with the map control that was lost. I do like that spam. It's one of the most common spams in the game, but with teams regularly wanting to go for these pacier B hits in round number 3, especially when you have weaker weapons. I think it's such a powerful initial play from EU, and it's about as free a kill as you're ever going to get. For now, though, after some initial presence towards that A side, they've managed to make it into C, where there is no resistance. It's a full retake setup for 100 Thieves, which, hey, I don't mind it. Look to use that extra personnel, but the plant is actually seemingly going to be that little bit more aggressive. They're planting for the spawn and looking to push it, but they are walking into pretty much all the defense.
I'm out of here.
This is a difficult scenario, and Asuna jumping and spraying. Still, it ends up remarkably close. A couple of picks from the side put it down to 2 alive on 100 Thieves. You know, considering, what was it, a 4v2, 5v2 at that point? And Asuna just goes, I'm going to jump in and start shooting around. I don't know what gave him that idea, but, well, if it works, it works.
There's always, I feel like there's always been something like that when watching Arsenal as well. Like, just where he'll go for these, like, you see him do something, you know, like, that doesn't make sense when watching anyone else play.
What was that?
Said JC, welcome to North America. You're in for a treat, but no, I think the hero of the round is still EU. Like, I think you can look at this squad, and obviously, historically, and even in regular times, like, Cryo has been an incredible player, but I think someone you always have to highlight is EU. They had a fantastic game yesterday versus Fnatic, even in defeat, and has brought a hell of a lot of value to this squad since joining. And that's the other thing, when you look at 100 Thieves, is like the caliber of these players. You're talking about champions winners, contenders as well, with the likes of Exet. Expectations are still pretty high, even if the success hasn't been there for a while.
Well, a minute left on the clock, and you can see Chichu pushing into that space on B, looking for an opportunity. The drone to go through the doors, clear that player up close, and the judge, not something you're going to want to challenge, but this is all just... What? I was going to say it's all posturing. It's just them feeling out the space. You've gotten a wallbang kill there over towards the doors. The judge down, and this puts a lot of pressure on 100 Thieves on that side of the map. I would have thought that they rotate out of that A site, but they're still very much expecting EDG to take it there. Well, we see that movement towards the C site, where now Boostio is set up and has a hell of a challenge on his hands without that garage control.
It almost feels like he needs to get 2 here as a minimum. There's nobody else even remotely close, and he gets nothing. ZJC, another high impact kill. We saw it in the pistol. He basically won it for them, and now this round's looking done. I think the remaining players on 100 Thieves are almost forced to save, and it feels a bit silly with how, well, sort of just 2 kills have gone the other way, but you look at the finances, you got a couple of players who can maybe invest into like a Guardian, a Bulldog, or something of the likes, or maybe Cryo can drop a proper rifle over, but if they don't save these 3 weapons, the chances are they're not going to be able to have a buy in the next round, and I think EDG have made that realization. Okay, nobody's come around this position. We need to clear these guns out.
And that they will. A full swing into spawn, takes down 1. The other's backing off. You can see Asuna up in heaven and already sprinting away from that big push coming down. They should be able to get those 2 across the line without too much of an issue, but yeah, it's a weird round. You look at 100 Thieves there. They have their garage and C player. They have a 3 stack on A early, despite sound being made towards garage. And it's this reveal here. No, it wasn't. It was smoked off. They actually blocked the reveal and still was able to get
Never mind. He just spammed it.
Yeah, we switched away. We didn't see it in the moment, but it was a blind spam
crazy.
through the wall. That's unreal.
You gotta be a little bit tilted when that happens, because that's also maybe a little bit of sweet justice with the spam that came through a couple of rounds ago through the wall, but that one's more absurd, if anything. It's a straight walk-up. Like, okay, he took so much damage early, but what? What is that? That kill couldn't see a thing. Just takes the head clean off. They only had a couple of guns to play with in this scenario, but it seems to have worked out for them. Blink and you miss it. 100 Thieves break back.
Well, Ascent has taken over in that one. A straight push down, a stun that perfectly delayed those big swings, a double spray down, and a full blind spray for the third.
I always wonder if the third kill is like, maybe he could see slightly more in his POV, but I don't think he could.
No. He might have seen Tracer.
Oh, he
the
could,
gun
just a
about.
tiny bit, but That's still a fantastic shot from him.
Unbelievable. And here, you know, they've been pretty direct in taking the A plays, then A space into slow mid push and garage push. So the idea there from 100 Thieves to go down on C, they probably thought they'd get free space. And instead, they had a perfectly timed push, great utility. Following up into this round, the same thing, direct A play, opening pick is wonderful. Xander caught after one, but there's plenty more players to fill in that space. And 100 Thieves, now that we're seeing that little bit of aggression coming out of them off rip, they seem to be a different team altogether.
Yeah, I think that maybe in some of the early rounds, they were showing a bit too much respect to EDG. Like, and you can understand it, they're champions winners. You're talking about Khan, the man with the most aura on the planet. Like, he will literally stand up and sing after winning a Champions MVP. Like, it really doesn't get any better than that. But I think with this composition, you almost have to show that little bit of extra disrespect. Like, I'm going to sprint down, I'm going to take these fights, and well, the last couple of rounds to get confident. I will say, for me, very happy to see Boostio back on an international stage. I just think that he has so much more flair than anyone else. I've seen this round before.
Yeah, it's a little slower, a little more tempered. The paranoia primed and ready, fired through by Smoggy to try and delay. This time EDG a bit more ready. They hadn't put all their eggs in one basket with a big C long swing. They waited it out. And as a result, relatively even footing with that pick from Chichu. That's opened the B site. That's given info on Cryo as well, so no jump scare for him. And they'll go right back towards this C site, up against the U, who was their standout player in their opening matchup here at EWC. And you see why. Connecting two solid shots and leaving Chichu to pick up a 3K. There's a minute to do so, but they know exactly where he is.
I like this as well. It gives them an opportunity to sort of group up and actually play this one together. A split 1v1 for Chichu, the guy's terrifying. There's a real chance that he takes that round home. Instead, even though they haven't managed to do something with the ult other than information, the main thing is both players are now playing off of each other. This 2v1 has just become so much more difficult for G2 to try and win, and that's incredibly well played. And again, another high-impact round from EU, a second 3K that he's added to the table, and I believe that's now them taking the lead.
It's one of those moments really where you see that, like, the coaching staff maybe would have even thought about calling a pause coming out of round 4, like leaving B site completely open and stacking heavy towards A, expecting EDG to run the same round again and again, and even playing passive on that stack. It was a terrible idea, and it was one that, you know, it's a gamble, because if they do go A, great. But when they don't, when EDG play the map, it's an easy win. And I think that they've obviously heard the players communicating that, okay, we need to play a little bit more aggressive. We need to make a little bit more aggro control in those early rounds. And no need for a pause, because they had the right ideas in between those rounds. Again, the early aggression gets 100 Thieves the advantage. Now a 5 versus 4 to play with. Still a couple ultis that could make this, at least turn this back in EDG's favor a little bit. The Rolling Thunder for ZJC. The Hunter's Fury for nobody as well, and clearing out these spaces, but they need something to go their way soon.
It is just this aggression and re-aggression, though. You think you've managed to survive that initial hit, that you could see EDG are trying to slow things down to be more prepared for the way that 100 Thieves are playing, but it doesn't seem to be working for them. And Arsenal has just been incredible with that first bullet accuracy. It's some of the shakiest aim I've ever seen in my life, but somehow manages to make it look even better than just someone hitting those first initial one-taps. And while for Smoggy, he can take the spike if he wanted
30
to.
30 seconds left.
But I don't think he's going to do that in a 1 versus 5. And if anything, maybe just holding on to the gun will be a choice. It's difficult, though, because I think the way 100 Thieves are playing, you can see the EDG are currently adapting their game to try and counter it, and because of that, some of the early success they had in like the pistol and these more direct, aggressive takes, that's what was working for them on the attack side. They can't do that because they might just run into Arsena's bullets or a wall bang from EU. Like, they have to be a little bit more tentative, but that's actually kind of messing up their own game plan.
This opening fight was interesting as well because you look at some of the others like the C-long play where, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. Normally you have a ton of utility. This time it was just a drone sent up through the smoke and then Asuna goes, oh yeah, I'll just run it down at him. And of course they're jumping out of the way to avoid the reveal, to avoid being spammed by the reveal of the drone afterwards. They don't expect this guy to just come out swinging. And that shows really the difference as these rounds keep going. As we hit 4 in a row for 100 Thieves, the confidence is now sky high. They don't need those 3 pieces of utility to go for that fight. They're willing to just grab the reveal and immediately scrap. At least Asuna is.
Yeah, of course. Why not? Why not? With the success he's had already on the defensive side, you can understand why they're going to continue this aggression. Paranoia set up for the 1-2 punch of the double duelist. Any contact in that direction will be a problem. And they're leaving Boostio basically just alone for information. Of course, there is a gate crash up top, which could be available. Now, in terms of finances, this round is incredibly weak for EDG, but they do have some ults. And that's where you have to be wary of. A Rolling Thunder that potentially gets you a gun. A Hunter's Fury placed in the right position. And this could get dangerous, but you can tell that EDG have a good read on the economy. They are playing a lot more passive than they have been. And because of that, EDG must just be sat there going, ow, well, we've kind of just wasted a minute.
It's another one of those rounds where, you know, a risk is being taken. It's being covered now by Xander, but most of the time he stood there, paranoia in hand. The B-side contact would work wonderfully for EDG, but it's a gamble in where they take it. Towards the C site through Garage is clearly the play. 100 Thieves know that. The TP coming through from Xander from the shadows that was cancelled on C-long spotted them. They hear the noise in Garage, and now the plank coming through.
So much
Great
damage.
Shock Dart. A lot of damage done. And a follow-up by Chichu. This is looking doable. They'll even put the Hunter's Fury in, starting to believe, but perhaps they shouldn't. Asuna's behind. And he takes the picks easily. 100 Thieves, you know, you can see that even with the Hunter's Fury, EDG believed for a second, but that belief quickly faded away.
That might be one of the funniest Neon ults ever because he was already behind him. He was already behind him. He was already dead. The only thing that did was alert him. He was there. It's like, wait, what are you?
Well, he found a pick just before as well, so they're probably calling it out. He sat there as Sova going, oh, I'm not long for this world.
The shock dart from EU as well, though, just absolutely destroyed. But what?
What?
The ZJC one wasn't even a headshot. He didn't headshot him. Like that.
He was low for the shock dart destroyed him
low, and then just like I feel like you could make a highlight reel of just straight BS kills from Arsenal alone in this map. And wow, it's no surprise that we're getting a tactical balls out from EDG because what was a pretty solid start to this game from them has quickly diminished into them. They're just getting battered. Like, there's not really been much to write home about. Like, the highlight of that round for them was Chichu getting 1 kill. And from then onwards, it was just them getting mowed down. Sure, they had weaker weapons, but as you mentioned, they put an ult into that round. They clearly invested at least a little bit to try and get something done. Now, as said, last time they played this map, it was the defensive side versus the likes of Titan and FPX that looked much better for them. But I'll be honest with you, the way things are going, I feel like it needs to be a complete change of pace for them to come back into this game because Arsenal and EU are just frying. 12-5, 11-3.
This is the scary thing as well. 100 Thieves obviously on form, but for EDG, very similar to what we saw in that previous game that they played. Oh, Hunter's Fury pick.
Okay.
Damage done as well. You know, EDG up against...
They're destroying them.
Like,
this is a buy round. They're just running it down. They've already got a Hunter's Fury kill. They got a kill to the play. They're in spawn, Mitch. The EDG are cowering in spawn.
Straight off a timeout as well. And what I'm saying, like, up against Genji, got wrecked in the same fashion. It was an early start that looked okay, and then a commanding lead, and it looked like they didn't have anything to say in those rounds from, what, round 3 onwards, essentially. Here, they get a 3-1 start. It's now 6-3. They're being dominated in almost every fight that 100 Thieves are going for, sometimes with utility, sometimes without. This time, a crossfire. Asuna gets ahead of it. And sure, a couple of picks come in. But look at how desperately low they are. Still 3 rifles on the other side. Still control of the map. Still got them boxed in with Boostio pushed up. This is like major deja vu for EDG.
Oh, there's no way they expect Boostio to be here.
enemy remaining.
And they're both within a shot or two. Okay, I don't know how he's not hit that one.
Seconds left.
I feel like that one was almost as free as the next one. Fair enough. Boostio's not, you know, he's the leader. Doesn't need to get kills. He'll leave that to Cryo and Xander to finish off. It is Kankan.
Planted.
If there's anyone you'd want here in this scenario, he would be the guy who's going to hear the steps of the clone running past, but it doesn't really tell him too much information. He's locked in the back corner, but the plant could suggest that maybe he's gone all the way back towards long. The first onto Cryo. That's not bad, but he's not going to correct in time to find out onto Xander. It's a nice attempt from Kankan, but the round seemed dead from almost the beginning. Like, the way that they basically approached that round was just, okay, they've called a pause. They've tried something. Let's just Hunter's Fury and run it down immediately. And they had 2 kills in the first, first few seconds. Look, that was basically off the barrier dropping.
It was. Yeah, the first second that there was an opportunity for it.
It's just JC again. It's the same guy. He's just spamming him through smoke.
Genuinely just need an Ascent package of every BS kill he's gotten so far. And this is the problem. Again, you look at Ascent, great game that he's playing here. He's 14-6 at the moment. EU delivering on the same level that he did in their opening matchup. But like I'm saying, for EDG, this is what this tournament has been for them so far. They played a BO1. They could be going out here now. Finally an opening pick. They need to have a commanding comeback into this half. 7-5 closeout. At least then, it's the best of a bad situation. The spark lit right at the end.
Yeah, they're good on the defense. I think I'm less worried so much about the direct scoreline and more so just the manner.
The context.
They're getting destroyed. And while managing to shut down Arsenal is a great start, he has been the bane of their lives, especially ZJC. He probably has a smile on his face just seeing that he's gone down. And maybe he won't get spammed through a wall or a smoke or something this round. And while the gamble so far from 100 Thieves is not the right one, 3 players towards that A side of the map. Drone might give them the information that they need. I think, yeah, they're going to start their push-up. But it is being watched.
Spike planted.
A deep play from 100 Thieves. Smoggy, like you said, watch him for this. They've sent back Chichu as well. They'll be covering that C walk up, but Xander still manages to get the pick. That pulls Smoggy in the other direction. ZJC filling in the space. Smoggy gets another. For the squad of EDG, they're now fully in control. The time ticking, backside B controlled there for them. Kankan spotted in the corner. But lurking in the back of their mind is Smoggy, and it's Kankan with the op shot to put it all onto EU. A standout player for them in their opener. A solid, reliable pair of hands here, but it's not to be. And a much-needed round for EDG Connected. They get the opening kill. They trade out along the way. And this is the important thing. Like you said, Tom, it's not about 7-5 as a scoreline. You come out and you go, oh, okay, well, that's workable. But the fact we were 3-1 up, and not only were they losing all those rounds so convincingly. I mean, EDG had no say. For 6 straight rounds, finally they're back with their hands on the reins.
Yeah, it was a bold call anyway. A glass cannon operator purchased up for Kankan, but we've said it before, we'll say it again. We know what this guy could do with the sniper. Put it in his hands, he can turn rounds. Now we even have a little bit of extra spice of life. He'd managed to find the kill with the Vandal, but this is all just to make sure no one could push, and it hasn't worked. Finally, Cryo will be able to at least get the trade, but even still, again, Arsenal being down is not bad for EDG. That does feel like a worthwhile trade out, and now they're going to try and pincer down on it. It's not pretty, though, from nobody.
I don't mind him pushing up in that space. Yes, he's alone, and it was a 4v4, but the B space has been left open by 100 Thieves so many times that the contact play seems worth it. But with him going down, now the players are left with a disadvantage. Moving back into this C site, the space has been filled in. Cryo was towards the A site, but now they've got numbers ready and waiting. An easy pick. A good trade, though, by Smoggy keeps them in it. Rolling Thunder still online. They might use this a bit more aggressively to try to take this control.
Maybe you'd expect them to almost try and challenge the spawn. They are going to try and challenge the spawn, but they don't realize that they've already lost too much control. It's going to be left now just to Smoggy. Well, Thunder doesn't even give him a second's notice. See, he looks like he's washing his hands of them.
No, this really is a confident display from 100 Thieves. 4 rounds, it's not the end of the world, but in the context of how we got here, EDG were 3-1 up. They have a lot of ground to recover going into the second half.
2-2-2. I'm standing.
One's on.
Together.
Go together. One more. 3.
Wait, one from B.
From me, just stick.
Hurt.
Nice!
Snakes and ladder. My ex-piece come on, new one's better.
Welcome back, folks. 8-4, 100 Thieves leading and certainly in momentum. 7 out of 8 of those final rounds as EDG are going to attempt to clamber back into this game. Defensive side at least, but looking at how aggressive Ascent was on the defense, I'm worried for what they're just about to come up against.
Hey, win the pistol, get the operator in Kankan's hands, you got a game. Lose the pistol, you might never get the operator in his hands. So it's definitely tough times for EDG, but they're another squad that if they find their stride, no matter what moment it's in, they can become a devastating force. 100 Thieves, though, have looked fantastic. And now, with this double duelist going into the attack, I don't think the pace is going to be stopping. The B-site read, though, from EDG was good to start.
Yeah, good gamble certainly pays off as they managed to stop the initial push. The C-site play, though, stun was perfect. It actually stopped Chichu, kept him in the corner, so they can't fully get that space back. But Smoggy up on top of those logs, able to grab himself a double, a triple, in fact, and EU will quickly be dispatched. A much-needed pistol round landed for EDG.
Yeah, that's their lifeline found. It would feel pretty brutal for this map to slip away after that first half from 100 Thieves, but the fact is, getting those early rounds has been enough to sort of put EDG at least into a position where this map can become competitive. I like that, though. It seemed like they had a good read on what 100 Thieves were going to be doing in the pistol. Like having that initial 3-player stack up over on B, having the quick switch to C once that hit failed. It definitely looked like they were ready in a big round, more so for Smoggy. 100 Thieves not deterred, though. If at first you don't succeed, try again.
I'm out of here.
Well, this time it is left a little bit more open. So much so, the plan's going to come through for 100 Thieves.
Spike planted.
Even getting out of there, outlaw shot not going to land, and they're going for aggressive push towards A main. Oh, goodness. The A-Con overrun, but the site has been taken back. A full rotation here from Asuna. And Smoggy so late coming back from A that he will catch them off guard. EDG seem to have this one easily across the line. And it's 4 players alive as well. The question was, would there be any more damage? Chichu 21 HP, Kankan 56, but those weapons are brought through to the next.
Yeah, they got everything they needed. The low HP, okay, sure, you might have to rebuy some shields, but it ultimately becomes irrelevant, and it gives them that opportunity once again to try and get something done. going into this bonus round. But yeah, if you look at the buy rounds overall, and that is where we saw 100 Thieves have the majority of their success.
One enemy remaining.
1-2 punch of Arsenal and EU being the difference makers, but the smile's still there on Kankan's face, and that you know, it fills you with confidence. It's the same when you see that for someone like Chronicle. You just go, I think they're going to be okay.
We've already had the trap destroyed on C. Shock dart sent through by EU has broken that and left the cam as the only real piece of information they have to work with. 2 players spotted and through the cage. Kankan's gone down. EU's a menace when it comes to these spams. And another found by 100 Thieves. Boostio lurking over on the A site, grabs himself a double, and this round is done and dusted before it even gets off the ground. EDG have come crashing down.
Yeah, this now comes down to how much nobody wants to put into this. Of course, they do have some credits for the next round, but
Go, go, go.
saving the gun might hold a little bit of extra value. I think he's been spotted as well.
I'm out of here.
They want to try and remove this gun, but also don't want to throw too many of their own away. So it kind of comes down to just being clever about it. I like the dart just coming over the top of the map. He's having to fall back, but I think with how much time, how many angles would need to be cleared, there's a good chance that nobody's going to be able to hold on to the gun.
Yeah, by now, there's no chance, but another round for 100 Thieves. The question is this going to be right back to winning ways? The streak of rounds that they found in the previous basically locked EDG out of it. But this one's got to be frustrating. The lurk on A gets great value, but here it's all about spams. Okay, Cryo actually got a little bit of a glimpse of the player before taking him down through the smoke. And that prompted this full A push as they go for the rotate through their opponent's spawn. But Boostio's there waiting for them. It's got to be frustrating, though, just the amount of times. Like, Ascent has been hyper-aggressive. He's been supported by utility most of the time. EU has found so many kills through walls, through smokes, through just spams. The same shock dart fired through here, and it will be one trap down, but this time they've left one a bit more passive, attempting to punish that slide in.
This also, they've just given up the site completely. But you've got this super aggressive push through middle that just wasn't caught. Xander was not prepared for that sort of a swing. EDG trying to almost match the level of aggression we saw in the last half, but with a completely different set of abilities to back it up. And 100 Thieves would decide, okay, we don't want to get picked apart here. Let's group up, move around as a squad. At worst, we try and get a trade. At best, if we can find one of these players, maybe we can level things up. Going through the spawn is an interesting piece, though. They're just trying to avoid all the extra utility. The drone isn't going to find them. So as of right now, EDG are clueless to where they've gone, although Kankan has the right idea. Oh, just misses the timing on it.
But now they know it's going to be an A-side play. A very unusual round. 4 players from the attack in spawn, 5 players from the defense, basically making a column over on Garage. You don't normally see map control like that. And 100 Thieves read it perfectly, even with that push up through mid. Not the initial one, but the second one, and how they were being held to wrap through spawn. On site now, Kankan wins that. Stunned up, but he's still good for the fight. And it all goes crumbling down for 100 Thieves. That win streak that we saw in the first half, not likely to be replicated here. EU will find nothing. And EDG, 5 players alive. It's a flawless round to put them 9-7.
Yeah, I think the great thing there from EDG is you see what happens when they're actually able to set up. Because that was the main problem with that first half, is they were being bullied and battered and bruised before they even got to make their own set play. This one was a little bit slower from 100 Thieves, and because of that, you then get the setup retake. You get those extra supported pieces of utility, you get them moving as a unit, and that's where EDG play their best VALORANT. A 7th round onto the board. Similarly to the last half, it's that 3-1 start, and that was where it all came crashing down. So seems like we are going to have ourselves maybe just a small moment. Kankan's already given the thumbs up, so I'm assuming this won't be long.
It's a bold assumption, Tom.
Hey, if Kankan's happy, I'm happy.
Fair enough.
All the other, everything else is broken, but just him. He's like, I'm good. I'm like, cool, let's go. I'm not biased.
No, not at all. It's not shining through. Anything to see an American key crushed. I understand.
We've already seen one of them today. I don't know if I can cope with the back-to-back.
I can.
It does seem
I
like
make peace with that.
It seems like Sen are doing all right on the other side though, so that's at least something. XOG have pushed them to a third. No, I've actually just checked the score. Like, XOG might be coming back. Never mind. Never mind. It might be a very bad day for
bad D.
Yeah, bad D. A bad
like
day for North America, but we'll see. 100 Thieves still in a good spot right now. And a 4-player stack up of that right side of the map. In fact, even Smoggy's starting to rotate away from C. I guess they're sort of expecting that it's either going to be that fast-paced initial battle, and if it's not, well, then they might as well just play the retake, because they have got this one completely wrong.
Yeah, I mean, they heard the cam get placed on A, that they heard a fake TP put in. That's about it off the top of my head. I don't know what 100 Thieves have done to fully sell that fake, but a free C site claim, a plan secured. Boostio taken out. In towards Garage. As EDG look to flood back in, they're already thinning the herd quite nicely. Cryo steps up to a triple, and it's a 2v1 now with nobody left alone. Cryo needing a 4K to take this across the line, and he's going to commit that TP. Making his way off the site, buying a little bit more time. The smoke fading, he's being caught, but that actually confirms that the defuse isn't underway. Just now getting to half. Nobody spotted as he gets right back on that defuse, and a 4-piece for Cryo puts 100 Thieves up to 10.
Yeah, very well played from him. The thing is, you look at that initial setup, like it does feel like the retakes from EDG are very strong. Already managing to, I think it was Smoggy catching out Boostio, and then the quick swing from Kankan giving them that man advantage, but Cryo was just a force to be reckoned with, just making sure that nobody was getting back out from that connector, from the double doors, and then in the 1v1 at the end. Okay, it got a little dicey for a second where they doubted the smoke, but the second it came down to that tap, he was ready and raring to go. Operator in for Kankan. I mentioned it. It's always a difference maker on this defense, but he is in the wrong place at the wrong time in back-to-back rounds.
Yeah, the A side's just been overrun again. Chichu, he's going back out. He's looking for the fight, and the information on the back of it, well worth it. The fact that he gets out of there without being punished is huge. Hunter's Fury put through, good tag, and the follow-up is there. Cryo down. EU left all alone. He's being flanked out, reads it, but can't land the shot. Well handled, and EDG, they're not letting this one slip without a fight.
It feels like both teams had that sort of like switch flip in their head where they go, am I showing these guys too much respect? And I think that round from Chichu was exactly that. He goes, they may have the A site, but I'm going to swing and just take one of them out and get all of the information. So it allowed them to take that full mid control. They then did a lot alongside that sort of Hunter's Fury, and while the Arsenal swing out this time, it looks a little bit ridiculous when you watch it back.
So much committed. I like that. Yeah, exactly as you said, Tom. Just Chichu going in deep for that pick, waiting then for Asuna to go pushing. I think he was 30 HP, and he manages to find a second. It's a great round from him. And I like to see EDG feeling that little bit more confident, because that was my fear. You know, losing to a team like 100 Thieves, or vice versa, going down to EDG, it's fine. But for EDG, that opening against Gen.G, they got crushed. They looked deflated. And you don't want to see them, after that first half, I was worried we would, go out in that same fashion. Here, they've started to find their form again. A timeout called by 100 Thieves to correct that.
But this is where it really does get scary for 100 Thieves. It's clear to see that this defensive side is definitely better for EDG. It's a lot more difficult for you to be disruptive, and they've started playing retake. They've started being more passive overall, like not taking these super aggressive fights unless they do it as a full squad. So 100 Thieves haven't been able to just catch a stray here and there or have their own defensive setups. This time at least, a little bit quicker towards middle, but just look at the purchase. That's all you...
what?
That's all you really needed to know. It's not all you need to know. What you need to know is somehow they got 2 opening picks with a Sheriff and a Classic, and now throwing in their ultimates to try and turn this round into a win.
Well, they've got rifles to play with, or they did. Asuna's been dropped. That's the rifle on the floor. Soon to be recovered, perhaps. And it's Boostio to pick it on the way out, but he is immediately dealt with the Blade Storm of Concon. Now the operator in play. And it's only a classic spamming through. EU tries to get them from the side, but no chance. They did very well to find those opening picks, but when push comes to shove, EDG are the ones coming out on top. 10-9, one behind after an abysmal first half.
Yeah, this really is just quite an odd scenario where you see a Classic and a Sheriff win 2 fights versus 2 rifles in middle. I'm not really sure how that managed to go their way, but then the way that they come back into it, like none of the guns were actually retrieved by the attacking side, and then it's just trying to play post with much, much weaker weapons. Concon now taking the lead in terms of the kills. That operator, ever present in his hand, he is so good that you almost feel like you need that sort of old school 100 Thieves strat. Let's not avoid CNED, let's avoid Concon.
They've done a good job of it so far.
Have they? He's got the most kills.
Yeah. You look at the scene, typically they're going to the opposite side of where he is. The gamble's paying off.
They avoid him for a bit.
But it's kind of hard to avoid him on a retake. if he's not there, you wonder what the hell he's doing. Asuna good on the cheat shoot. Go! He's good for another 2. Sliding around with the shorty in hand. And he's going for more!
All right.
With an
All right.
up. That's
Okay.
ridiculous. The confidence certainly back in Asuna's body. What was that?
I feel like he goes into flow state.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine that anyone's brain is ticking that quickly that he's like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna pick this up, I'm gonna go with the shorty, I'm gonna pick up the op, I'm gonna then go for a no scope. Like it's just like my eyes can't keep up with what he's doing. So I think he is just, it's like he's entered the Matrix, and then, yeah, it's like going for a sliding no-scope at the end.
It'd be different if, like, he didn't have a rifle, but he intentionally picked up an op and went, I'm going to slide in a no-scope this guy. Like, the confidence you need to pull that out in what is now a very close game. If this was the end of the first half, it'd be like, oh, well, you know, he's been frying, so they're in a very dominant spot. A timeout called here by EDG. And this is what I was saying as well, where, like, Concon's impact, even looking at the attack side, the only round they won after that 3-1 lead was opening pick by Concon, and then map control played after. In terms of his defense, it's been very hard for him to find those opening picks because they've never gone to him initially. And I'm not sure if they somehow know where he is, but the gambles have paid off.
I hope they don't know. We have bigger problems. But no, I think it has just been a bit of a gamble, maybe figuring out based on other utility where he's been set up. It could be that, but a lot of it does feel like he just takes an angle and then they just don't go that way. So it's going to leave them in a bit of an awkward spot.
This is a nice spot
for this round. The finance is definitely not the best for EDG, but I think they don't want to leave themselves out to dry. And yeah, Glass Cannon, that was how he got that 4th round in the previous half. Unfortunately, though, at least for now, it does seem like he's not in the right place again.
Yeah, everybody else has got credits for the next. It's just Concon on that op that doesn't... If things don't go their way, they'll be looking to save that. And the problem is, again, the op, the big investment, is on the A site. No one is on the A site, with the exception of Boostio's being left behind to lurk out that space. But hold on. They took Garage, they looked for a C play, but now they come back in the other direction. Concon waiting patiently, and he finds his reward. An opening pick, a second on the follow-up, a bold choice to continue trying to challenge. EU's got the spike. It would be brave. Indeed, he did end up swinging it after hearing the dash back. He'll creep up behind late. Asuna, EU, finding some. Boostio in there for a double. And now it's winnable for 100 Thieves. Concon did what he could, but cheat shoots. It's a double spray. Both headshots. We need that in the replay. I don't know how he got a double there.
The round ended so fast, I was like, he can't have won. Because it shouldn't be...
It's a 1v1 now.
It shouldn't be possible, but no, he gets both headshots in the same spray. That's madness. Like, the way the round started, yeah, EDG probably should have won the round, but like... Oh my god, they even played it together. That's brutal. That's so brutal.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
What an unbelievable spray down. Concon was sat there thinking, what more can I do, man? Double open and pick. trying to carry them through, and in the end, they get there. Op saved, full economy, 11-10. That play right there just saved the game for EDG.
That'll keep you up at night. That's what I'm going to say. That's a round that'll keep you up at night. If this round, this game, this map ends up going in the other direction. And while this time, they know where the Kankan op is, but I have a feeling that's by design. Yep, look at him. Look at him on the map. Immediately shoots 2 shots through the smoke and goes the other way because he's thinking, they're trying to avoid me. You could try and avoid Kankan, but he's in your head as well as you're in his.
But it has been the difference maker. One sees there
Look
for
at him,
the
he's
opening
ready.
fight. One sees the one picking them off. They've been winning the round. And again, he'll be here. The first shot into a decoy. Now they know what they're facing. Asuna diving around. Cryo gets one, but immediately traded out. The Hunter's Fury chasing Kankan, but it won't delete him. But nobody falls. The numbers are back to a 3v3. The flank watch by EU could pay off dividends with Chichu sneaking his way past the cage active, but that gives away his spot. Kankan from heaven,
30 seconds
making it
left.
difficult. This is where EU needs to move, and he's heard the steps. He knows that Chichu's here. This should be an easy equalizer. Xander looking the right way, had all the info to play with, and we're down to a 2v2.
Round that could end up deciding the map.
Last player
Oh,
standing.
it's the EU shot. I thought for a second that Kankan had managed to make that work, but he hasn't. And now left on to Smoggy. A man known for those high impact moments, but EU has discovered him. He knows that there's 2 angles that he needs to clear. Smoggy trying to find that second player, and he's just not quick enough. Xander is going to get them to 12. A game that started in fairly dominant fashion, but has quickly turned into a banger. 12-10, 1 more needed. And I think that economy-wise, it's going to be a little bit more interesting
Be faster.
for EDG in this round. I'm not sure they'll be able to get the op.
Oh, it'll be a struggle, and what a blow that would be. Kankan happy to even take it out glass cannon, and he's made all the difference with it. But yeah, look at that buy. It's miserable. Now, the ults are in their favor. That could buy them 1 extra round. That could get them into a better position to fight for this map, to fight for OT.
I have retrieved the spike.
Rolling Thunder and Hunter's Fury. But if it comes down to an opening duel with just the weapons in hand, they are not favored in the majority of those fights. The 100 Thieves, knowing that, obviously, they're just looking for a direct approach on C. Late play by Xander, watching the flank. Busio, your designated planter. He slowed, though, for a moment. They going back? Xander doesn't really have any space. It's not like he's been pushing up A. It's just passively spotting the mid and A pushes. There's a risk that someone's already pushed down mid, but the spike is gravitating back towards the other side of the map.
And they're taking this slow, but it's a lot of time already gone. 35 seconds, and they've made the decision to go back towards this C site.
30
Kankan in
seconds
position. They're leaving this very, very late already. I think that's the Hunter's Fury going through. 1 player has made it in, and they have managed to, I believe, reveal that Chichu is on this corner. They know he's here, but he still wins the fight. 15 seconds, they've got to try and make that run, and in fact, they're going to go back towards the B site, right into the hands of Kankan, who's just waiting for them and shutting them all down. 4 kills for Kankan, but it really feels like 100 Thieves have kind of fumbled the bag there.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the idea behind that round. You even see for a moment they wanted to go to the A site, and that was the right call. The site was wide open. A big gamble by EDG, sticking in position on C, thinking that they'll come back there eventually, and they did. Kankan being able to push up mid to close this, I'm not even sure how necessary it was. They would have had to sprint into B, and even just a pick on the planter from Connector would have closed that one out. It's a really interesting round from 100 Thieves, and it feels like they just reached the point of desperation. They had to make a play, any play, and they gambled wrong.
I'll be honest, probably about 30 seconds left, I was like, okay, they've got to try and go for like a B play at this point. They've got no information other than they've sent one in, and that guy has gone, okay, there's at least a couple of players here. I think they even then got the reveal of the person in the corner. I'm just looking at it going, you're playing a bold game to try and make it through that smoke, and you know they have a Rolling Thunder, you know there's a Hunter's Fury because it's just been activated. I think they were just a little bit too late to make the decision. Bustio's trying to stare across at the opposition while being, I believe, given the orders by Zeeks, but honestly, this is not the spot you want to be in. Arsenal, they've been farming his ult up quite a bit, like giving him the orbs on C long, so that's going to be online alongside a Bucky.
Yes.
Boostio down to a pistol. He's not had the best game individually, so again, there's opportunities. I'm more worried about EU not having a rifle. That guy's been probably their best player.
Yeah, tough to wallbang with a stinger, so...
Khan after the 4K has decided, you know what, a rifle will do.
Yeah. If it works, it works. It certainly did for him. Overtime possible here for EDG. Asana's dove into that back site. Ult activated as Cryo gets traded out. Here's Asana's moment.
What?
Concon to shut him down. An immediate reversal of the favor as 100 Thieves.
exactly
Weaker weapons for the most part. A man disadvantage. A paranoia that catches all three players. That's an easy dive in as all the control should be taken back. Some still inside the smoke and they're caught running out of it. Too slow to follow up on that paranoia. 100 Thieves. They get their vision back and they're right back to winning ways. 1-0. That round looked done.
I can't believe they closed it like that. Like the fact that...
Hot to the touch from the get-go. It was a slow start to Haven. And as I said, I was very worried that that was just going to be EDG's story of this tournament. Coming in, getting decimated, and going out without too much of a ruckus. But they pulled out all the stops in that second half of Haven. They found their form. Concon certainly did. Now it's their time to carry that momentum into Sunset. Kicking us off on the attack side, in the pistol round. Well, the barriers will be up in just a few seconds.
Yeah, similarly to the last map, when we saw them play this just, it was actually last week. They ended up with a 9-3 defensive half for EDG. So maybe even again, if they have a slower attack side, it's not the end of the world. Cryo, there's nothing slow about this defensive side from him and Asuna. Straight down into the mid pressure. Now, one of them is able to get out of there for free. EU doesn't have that luxury. He is just going to have to stick it out in mid, at least for the moment.
They got back up. Boostio's here. Had a tough first map, but he's putting himself on the board early here. Concon, oh, a few missed shots. That was almost EU sent out of the round. Nobody on his way up to do, or at least make an attempt at the same. He's wallbanged EU down to half. Prowler's on its way. And that's going to get the players out to the site. EU, not much that he can do about this. Oh, he goes in for one anyways. He's hit a wallbang headshot. That JC desperately low. Picked off by Cryo. An easy follow-up onto a Concon, it should be, with 10 HP. And with nobody gone, this round done and dusted. And fittingly, a wallbang to close it out.
I was going to say, it's another spam. That spam kill was not aimed for ZJC, and he's the one that dies to it in the earlier battle. Like, the man is feeling cursed right now. Needs to go back to his old name if he wants to get a little bit of luck. But no, it is going to be the pistol going in the direction of 100 Thieves. Of course, I believe on the last map it was both went the way of EDG. So they had those strong starts and even still didn't manage to close out the map, even when maybe they should have at least taken us to overtime. For 100 Thieves, I think they're going to be very happy starting on this defensive side, because firstly, there is no tape on what they were going to be doing. They haven't played it since its reintroduction. And then on the other side of things, very recently, we saw EDG play this map versus Titan. And, well, the player to watch out for in that match was nobody, because he had an insane performance.
Well, not a bad start. That's the one pistol upgraded that they have. Concon's able to grab an opening pick for this side. EDG's response is to execute into A, a stun being lined up, but Asuna's gone walkabout. The stun gives him away. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Oh, that's so funny, because you understand exactly why he did what he did. But at the same time, there's just a little gap between where the stun actually is and when it hits someone. So instead, you've just got Asuna going, are you good, bro?
Oh, that could have been a second opening pick for this squad. Very valuable one indeed. Oh, Concon, he's threading the needle. That's a big gap left open. They have to be aware of it. Surely, no, they're not even looking.
Go, go, go.
They're just running as if everyone's gone into market. Okay, spike planted. Recovered weapon. Concon now coming around with a Guardian, but he thought that that was the last rotator. Xander was a little deeper. Asuna, it's a little shaky, but he gets there onto Chichu, and a lot of the danger of this round already subsiding. EDG need a big play. Both players with classics in hand. Okay, nobody. That's one found, but all that she wrote. Still, 2 players left alive for 100 Thieves. All things considered, that's a great round for EDG. They came in with a sheriff and nothing else.
Did they fucking walk past the spike at the end? I feel like they didn't spot it just behind the box, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, and all in all for EDG, like you look at that round and if you come in with what they had, a single sheriff and classic, we didn't need to. You literally see the moment he goes, wait, what? What? How's the stun come through and I've not been hit by it? It's unfortunate, but hey, 3 kills, it's not bad. You've at least reduced the amount of money the defense has. And interestingly, 100 Thieves clearly feeling very confident because they've still bought anyway. They're using this as a fall buy. There's going to be 3 players without any real remaining credits. So if they lose this round, it is not a bonus.
And who could be surprised to see Asuna getting aggressive?
Well, with Cryo and Zonda? No, I've not seen that before.
A paranoia on the contact? This is such a strange play. I wonder when they thought of this one.
On Haven.
Seemed to be before the previous map, yeah. The flash ready as well for Cryo. If Kankan steps forward, this will be the end of him. Even with the... Oh, maybe not. Good flash. Stun goes out. Cryo's caught. He can't follow up. That's gone about as well as it could. 9 HP left on Kankan, but it's enough. They've got the opening pick. They've dealt with that early aggression right off rip.
And in the meantime, the EU swung into mid and lost the battle versus Chichu. It's going to be re-aggression. That's the thing with this composition. You kind of need to get aggressive, and when it fails, the dominoes start to fall. Kankan desperately low, so a trade onto him. I was going to say should be easy, but actually he's found a player down to just 5 HP. Xander is clinging to life, and well, the rotation again is being held by Chichu. He's had a great round away from the rest of the team. Talk about this guy and his lurks on that Sentinel, but that made it very difficult for the rest of the players to even group up and help.
I mean, Kankan had a weaker weapon, a paranoia and flash lined up for his contact, and still, he's able to walk out with that aura.
One enemy.
Sure, Tom. Sure. I suppose he did.
It's your favorite one, I've heard.
Oh, I love it, mate. Chichu as well, like you said, away from the pack, cutting off all those rotations, keeping so much space for this squad. That's about as good of a round as you could hope for. And it might make 100 Thieves think twice about early aggression. Kankan, well, he decides to pull out some aggro of his own. And it's a double opening. Cryo, at least able to follow up. It's pistols for the most part. I'm not sure about that play. But Chichu's there to clean up anyways.
Oh, Pop, just as almost like a level of disrespect, just wanting to get into the site quickly. And I feel like with the investment from 100 Thieves, this is kind of the bare minimum. They've got a couple of kills, they've made things costly, but that is all she wrote. Not bad for either side. I don't think 100 Thieves would have gone into that expecting to win the round, and this is where they will have that purchase. The haunt as well from Nobody is just fantastic. Like, it makes things so much easier for Kankan, and well, the backup was at least there. 2-2. This time the early start went the way of DDG, but we now look at if there's a response. Operator in for Cryo. It's going to change the dynamic of how he plays this defensive side, and it looks like B is going to have a lot of congestion, and that's exactly where he is.
The right angle, although they're backing off. After breaking initial reveal, they don't want anything to do with this. It's going to be a Prowler sent through by Nobody. Goes directly into B main. It's not even the off that shoots it, but still, EDG send this in the other direction. Trap hasn't been broken, so they know there's no real aggression. They clear that first corner. And, well, a lot of steps being made by Nobody. That's going to be a quick acceleration into this site. Still, though, one of the players waiting for them is Asuna, and he's good for a double. That's 100 Thieves with a quick response. Boostio gets one before falling. Asuna does end up going by the wayside, but it's still a 1v3 needed for Smoggy.
This is a lot to ask. Manages to reposition and has actually found a slight gap, but I think very quickly EU makes that realization of Okay, there's one spot that he could have gone that we're
30
not
seconds
currently
left.
covering, and immediately fills the cap in. Even still, Smoggy has managed to hit the headshot, but he's completely blinded. Still makes it around the corner. The B site is open, but he's not necessarily looking to go there without at least finding the kill. EU playing this one incredibly safe. 30 HP. Okay, a plant should at least go his way,
10
but the
seconds
round,
left.
no chance.
Even the plant, I'm not sure. He's running a knife out, gets there a little late, but I mean, quickly puts him to bed. Another round for 100 Thieves, and Asuna, definitely the player you look to. This is the reason they're able to find that. He shut down that split immediately, cut one head off the snake, and none really grew back.
This is a lot of what has been the story of this game. Asuna in positions where you kind of expect maybe that he'll get one, maybe he'll do a little bit of damage, but he's been over-delivering in every position he finds himself in. And how good's your lip reading?
Not good enough.
Okay.
Their fears betrayed them.
You might have said, I got my one. Off in play for Cryo. It's gone mid this time, but they're bypassing it yet again. EDG, direct play to A. No Asuna this time to hold on to control. Good reveal. Great reveal, in fact. Somehow Concon still gets one. The spam takes down EU.
Exactly
And now Xander, oh, he's TP'd into the breach util. A shock for him for sure. Still manages to get one, but EDG have all the information. The player behind.
Oh, okay.
Positions revealed for Boostio.
Yeah, both players have that additional information. Nice shot from
player
Boostio at
standing.
least, but the remaining two have made it difficult. The IGL having to try and take this over the line, and he's managed to get rid of ZJC. Both players with knowledge of the other. Smoggy healthier and will be there to close. A close round for either side, and a decent attempt coming out from Boostio in that remaining position, but it will be Smoggy to get it over the line. Another round for EDG, and I actually really like the call in that round. Like, you've gone for that aggressive A-side push, you get shut down immediately. They double down on it. You're not going to stack up that position twice. And well, their gamble pays off.
Enemy
It's all
remaining.
about that short fight. And the fact that Concon goes diving into the smoke, even gets revealed, still finds one, and also gives the information away. There's another guy close. It's so easy to follow up on. Cage to deny some of that early aggression. Asuna jumped through it, but not able to really spot anyone out. EDG have just given up the control now, looking to move in the other direction. They see a push on A. They look for space on B. Holding for the mid crosses as well. There's not going to be any commitment from this side just yet. Knowing that they're up against these pistols and weaker weapons, they're expecting some form of aggression from 100 Thieves that they can catch off. That's why you're already seeing Concon on the B site despite everyone else waiting outside A. The problem is, this is again, Asuna's contact gets a paranoia, this time from much closer.
I'm out of here. Shock.
And that slows down the play, but they don't get the pick they wanted on the back of it.
Go, go, go.
Right read by EDG as well. Just leave at that point. 3 players pushed up. Surely the B side should be easier.
A little bit awkward with the weaponry for Concon. They haven't checked the corner, and Cryo's got away with
Spike
2.
down, B.
It's a good thing that
30 seconds
Chichu
left.
manages to find that trade, or this could have got truly dangerous. But EU's also then thrown in a Hunter's Fury. A little bit too much distance between him and ZJC for that kill to come through. It was desperately close, but he at least tagged him up once, leaving the breach low.
45 HP. A rolling. Oh, a shock dart to the face! Smoggy has to do it all now. They don't have that rolling thunder to work off of. It's all down to him. And EU with his 3rd kill of the round. Hunter's Fury, shock dart and a stinger. And it's enough to give 100 Thieves a 4th.
He's so good. Like, all of his utility seems to bring value to the squad. He was actually, as I said, a little bit unlucky that the distance between ZJC and the Hunter's Fury was just a little bit too far. And then the shock dart ended up being, yeah, absolutely perfect. It's Robin Hood.
That was a wonderful round. double classic kill, a stinger, a shock dart, and a Hunter's Fury. I mean, it's not a nice one to lose. You can see that EDG, this was their chance to build up, to gain the lead first of all, and maybe even build up a couple of rounds, put 100 Thieves economy in the bin, winning this one, and run away with the lead. Instead, they've been punished. They're put down to pistols. A rifle on Smoggy is all that they have to work with. He's hiding inside a smoke as somehow an entire portion of the map has gone EDG's way. They're already swinging him behind. Concon's got a double with a Sheriff. Smoggy strikes towards the A site, and with a TP in, they're now ready to fight with 3 weapons in a 5v2.
And these last couple of rounds have just been utter madness. Like, the supportive utility that was about to be put into play for Concon became completely useless because he killed both players before it hit. Just so you know, he headshot both, and then the Rolling Thunder went afterwards. Or just okay, we've bounced their corpses a little bit off the ground. Like, that was just pure individual menace. And the worst thing is, 100 Thieves knew he was there. They were spamming him. They spotted him.
My favorite part about that was your explanation of the Rolling Thunder was a visual cue that nobody can see us right now.
No, I was talking to you.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I got it. It was very good.
Exactly.
I wish we could have shared that with the world, but
Go, go.
So basically what you're saying is you want the return of the TikTok stream.
absolutely, Tom. I mean, I'm doing all these dances for nothing right now. What's the point? Oh, 4-4.
If anything, I'm seeing too much movement.
Look at that, man.
There goes the Rolling Thunder, see?
Yeah,
the movement.
Yeah. I don't even like seeing it in the game,
And
Tom.
then he did a handstand.
Oh, look at him go. Oh, Tom, you're going crazy. Oh, God, if you guys could have seen that. He did a flip into a handstand. Unbelievable. Well, 4-4 and 100 Thieves call a timeout. They want to touch base with their coaching staff as, again, they had a very crazy round themselves where they had classic kills and not a lot to work around, but managed to win it. And then the exact same things just happened for their opponent, resetting everything. EDG had the chance to run away with it, and that chance is now theirs yet again. OT, I saw OT.
Okay.
Part of the play, part of the strat.
Or maybe that was from the last map.
He probably assumed, yeah, we're going OT. Oh, they won a 2v4.
Yeah. Oh, never mind. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a rough one because when you win an explosive round like that and then lose one back in response, it's like a lot of what you're going to be talking about is the mistakes, but realistically, you kind of shouldn't have been in that position to begin with. So it's definitely been a fiery match, of course, for the side of 100 Thieves. You want to try and get this done in 2. You know that if EDG, they already got the momentum in the last map, and you could see that fire really starting to build within them. For now, at least, they spot the wall going up and don't opt to challenge. Of course, this purchase is a bit more of a bite to it with the Sheriffs alongside the rifles. But they've already lost a lot of control, and while that wasn't pretty.
No, it was not enjoyable to look at. Or Boostio. Having a tough run of it.
Spike planted.
Shots from Ascent, not landing anything in a flash, primed and ready for set. JC, Chichu picks up one, the deep push towards the spawn, working well. He's going to keep on going. Sheriff waiting for it. Cryo's only good for one. Chichu keeps on going for his triple. And then, of course, Concon is there to close it out. EDG, a much more direct approach to this round, just blitzing the site. And I think maybe even a response to the fact that, you know, mid's been left so open, expecting the gap to now be elsewhere.
Yeah, a lot of what they've been doing is just leaving Chichu around that position to just catch anybody trying to push around. This time, he's actually directly taken control of B main and then done the majority of the work for them. He's right at the top of the board alongside Concon. Seeing those two in form is probably as scary as it gets for the 100 Thieves coaching staff, because they're a big part in their successful run at Champions. And well, Chichu, it's just disrespect now. He's taken what Arsenal was doing in the previous map and said, you know what, I'm in form right now. I'm going to try and fight you back. And well, I think he's seeing ghosts at this point, was expecting somebody to be around that corner.
Oh, he stepped there. Xander knows that he's coming around that corner and he'll take him down. The jump up, poorly timed. Exact angle Xander was holding. Stun goes in. You can see Boostio caught towards the backside. Cryo comes in to support him. Looks for them around the left. Finds
down
two.
B.
Smoggy eliminating Boostio. Puts a little more pressure on that backside, but Con running it down has just flipped the script with a triple kill. EDG, it looked like there was a bit of a bump in the road in the side take, but again, Con's the one to close it out. Yeah, he's just unbelievable. And Chichu as well, I just want to mention that cage that he put down, he's put that a number of times, and it's always been to deny aggression. This time he uses it for his own aggression. And up against Asuna, that's a little taste of his own medicine.
I love just how much raw individual skill we have in this server. Like, you see that double. Oh, damn, okay. You see the double coming up from Cryo, you're like, okay, that was sick. And then 2 seconds later, you see Cargo go, okay, double, I'm getting 3. I also like the judge, it's like, come on, push the cage again. I'm gonna judge this time, you're gonna push my cage. And then so he doesn't push, it's like, this judge is not that useful anymore.
Yeah, Chichu's, I mean, they're going for the same strat they did on their low buy.
Go, go, go.
Blitz up to mid, stun on one side, Con opening it up. 2 players waiting around the other corner though. But they're running away. Oh, this could be a mistake. Xander hoping for some impact with that judge. EU grabs the double alongside Xander. And they catch ZJC looking the wrong way. A thrifty round win. As soon as I saw Asuna go the other way, I thought, oh, this could be it. At least the trade will be found, but not even close.
This has been such a peculiar match to watch. We've had so many low-buy victories, and EU just crispy as ever, pushing backwards into a judge as well. Like, the thing is, I kind of understand EDG's attempt to go into middle. It has been a spot on the map that's been very, very open, but the fact that they then end up in just the most horrific crossfire, yeah, I think that's how everybody's feeling after that round. Another low-buy victory. Thankfully for EDG, they still have the finances, and well, it's going to be the operator for Kankan in this round.
My ult is ready.
See if he can find the same success as he did on the previous map.
Only 1 round to play for it. 1:15 on the clock, and EDG evidently expecting some form of aggression. Someone to take a peek that they shouldn't step into that op. The space being worked by Chichu towards that A site. Making the noise, hoping that the rotation comes through, but it doesn't. With 50 seconds left, they have to decide on where to take it. It looks like they'll go towards mid again. Just barely dodging that reveal. Xander not catching the steps across. He can't see the feet from where he is. The timing's been poor. So they've got this space to fight with, but 100 Thieves are giving up the space, not looking for the fight, and then grabbing the information on that player still outside of A. Cryo is going to go for it. Asuna ran in, but nobody's just picked up both. A beautiful spray from him.
And the ult as well. Finding no targets. EU's in the same boat. The time is the main issue for EDG, but they've managed to get into the site, find the opener onto Boostio, and then put themselves into the post spawn. Now we saw a 2v4 to end the last map. ZJC is walking backwards and well. He eventually gets the information that there is a player in behind. EU sneaking his way through the edge of the smoke, but he's just waiting for his teammate to come through. It's the usage of that paranoia. Shock darts doing damage. They are whittling away, but Kankan still survives at the back of the site with nobody alongside him. It is going to be EDG to go in with a lead on their map choice, but it was close.
It absolutely was. The second half could be where EDG bring us to map 3. We'll find out if they've got it in them after the break.
Enemy One enemy remaining.
Go, go, go. Gotta go.
Well, 7-5, EDG leading after the first half, and moving on to the defense, where we've seen them before put up a lot of rounds. Up against Titan, it was a 9-3 half.
Yeah.
Definitely looking like this could be their map. Tom, we saw 100 Thieves though. They tapered off a little bit towards the end. It looked like there was a lot of control there for EDG. They were pushing and pulling the map very nicely. Now that they're on the attack though, we could see 100 Thieves bounce back with their hands on the reins.
But that's the thing. The advantage that 100 Thieves had coming into this map is, firstly, you left open a map you haven't played. Chances are, as one of your opponent's better maps, they're going to pick it. So I think they knew it was coming. So that's why I'd look at as an opportunity, is you have this hyper-aggressive comp, you have this double duelist, you have Cryo who can take a lot of space without having as much of a risk. I think if they've let this go through, there is a very good reason for that. Nobody, though, already in a solid position. And well, you can kind of see why they had such a dominant defensive side if he's going to be doing stuff like that all half.
He's been reliable. You think back to one of the last rounds, Ascent and Cryo go swinging into him, and he takes both down with a beautiful spray transfer. And I like the discipline too. Here he finds a double and backs off. He's in spawn right now as they push down on mid as a response, completely surrounding these last players and leaving EU and Xander in a 2 versus 5. Very much winnable, but not when they stack up like that. Swinging in was Smoggy with 8 on the board now. EDG have their lead extended. But for 100 Thieves, like you said, they've got that double duelist. There's weaknesses to that on the defense. You expect to see a little bit more from them here on the attack, certainly comp-wise. And in terms of preparation, for a map that you don't play a lot, I think you will be punished more on the defense in terms of your reactions, your rotations, and we definitely got to see that in the first half. Here could be a little bit more of comfort.
Yeah, my only worry is that I think when you look back at the last map, which when you're running exactly the same comp you can, they sort of struggled when the element of surprise was lost, which is normally the case on the attack side. Like, you will expect players to run through and blitz, especially Neon has been a mainstay on this map for quite a while. 2 players have just immediately died in middle as well. Like, that was just maybe a jiggle peek. It didn't even look like they went that far. The remainder just trying to get in, and of course this is nothing invested. So even a kill here would be nice, especially when there's investment on every single player. Even ZJC has gone for a stinger, so they can at least drop a gun. It's not looking too likely. Oh, there you go. At least one. It will be the stinger that is gone in the end, but hey, the 4 rifles remain.
Yeah, that's the main thing. A very little impact realistically, and a solid shutdown. A brave play on a round like this to go swinging into mid. We didn't get to see it on the screen, but here you go. There was no smoke down, nothing like that. Just a wild walk-up.
One enemy
that
remaining.
was spotted and dealt with immediately. And I think one of the worrying factors, I suppose, is that EDG, on the previous map,
I'm out of here.
we saw them a number of times on their attack wait for the aggression and still get rolled. Here, well, like, I think Asuna has, what, 6 kills coming out of that first half? Like, they have dealt with every single piece of defender aggression that was put down easily at times. And so for 100 Thieves, then, if that's not working, well, that's all that was working, really, and on what you need to be working about this composition.
Yeah, I think as well, just the comfort of Kankan on that Neon. He has been a menace, and you're looking at this with 4 rounds needed for EDG, and I would be surprised if they don't get them, but we're yet to see a proper buy round just yet from 100 Thieves. So, as I said, I believe that they will have come into this with a game plan. Nobody, though, he is being watched for. Okay. He had a bit of a quieter first half individually, like he was okay, but as said, when you look back to their previous result versus Titan, he was their best player, and we're getting glimpses as to why. That was as said, it was a predicted push from the side of 100 Thieves, and now you're looking at the timer, 35 seconds left, and they are going back to mid. Like, it doesn't seem like they have a plan set in motion just yet, and they're figuring it out as they go along.
Well, the only thing going for them is that they're heading towards the site with just 1 player. A chance to pincer, but they're late coming to mid, and now there's already one Chichu. They're spotting for it. Going into the A site, still up against Traps,
I think they
up against Con. It's not going to be workable. And they decide, to save after losing that player inside of main.
10 seconds left.
It definitely seemed a little bit de-synergized. Those 2 players are sitting towards tiles, not crossing mid, not moving in. That is a bold play from Con, but you understand why. Confidence is sky high.
Also, realistically, what has he lost? He's lost a Bulldog in a bonus
A bow
round.
and arrow is-
Why does he care? He's going to either upgrade to an operator or upgrade to another rifle. He's trying to remove some of their guns and maybe upgrade for free. So
His teammates out there with a Ghost is probably thinking, I would have taken that.
you know, it's.
I would have had that.
I think if you're a teammate of Kankan, unfortunately, you have to accept the fact that you are not Kankan, and so the decisions he makes, you're not allowed to question.
I mean, to be fair, probably 9 times out of 10 he gets that kill and then goes, hey, I've got a battle for you. So, yeah, fair enough.
He's also currently 19-9, so I think if you went, I don't think that was the right play, go, press tab, and shut up.
Who do you think you are?
And here he goes again, and that's why.
Oh,
well, EU, he got to win the fight last time around, but that's the upgrade. See, he's got a Phantom now.
Busio tried his best to save EU there. He threw down a cage, but Kankan's just too quick in following up on that aggression. The benefit, as you said, the comfort of the Neon here shining through. Surprising EDG, you know, they're in a 5v4, and Chinchu's making, again, you see this discipline, the wise call of not playing on the A side. If they need to play retake, they will. But if he stands there and goes down, now all of a sudden numbers are even, and it's a different game altogether. Instead, look at the minimap. They group up. It's going to be a full 5-player retake.
It's a counter paranoia, though.
Yeah, they're waiting for it.
They're ready for the swarm. There goes the stun. Paranoia immediately thrown through. Bustio tries to make a play off it, but can't find anything. Kankan leading the charge, but he has lost. Ascent and Cryo combining. A trade back at least, but it's Cryo once again. He's been having a solid game, and now that advantage swings firmly in the favor of 100 Thieves. It's going to be left all on to Chichu. Chances slim as the swing back from Cryo. It is a superb round from him individually. And considering they had some weaker weaponry after the last round and they lose the opening pick, that's an incredible recovery.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to, like, you have your stun and your haunt thrown through, but that counter paranoia just deletes it, and then your actual push to the side is dry. You don't have a lot for the retake. You just swing it on in, and those picks being won out by Cryo, by Xander over towards short as well. Pivotal to keep this under their control. 100 Thieves, they win out in round 4 of this half after 3 in a row for EDG, but the big danger has now just come online. Kankan with an operator. You bet your ass he's playing aggressive. Straight down the mid. He spotted the barrel. Blood in the water. And he's eating good tonight. That's Asuna down and out already.
Ooh. Only just about escapes. The spam has done a lot of damage, but yeah, the man advantage is the main thing, and you best believe there's likely to be a reposition. Kankan he has just got this spot on. A couple of other players building up in towards that B site, but I think with how low on HP is, the risk really isn't there, especially when you consider that Hunter's Fury is available. Now the idea from EU is sell a fake, sell a ruse, try and bait them into a rotation, and he has at least kept players on the A site. The problem is, if Kankan hits this first shot, the round almost feels like it's over.
Well, he's hit it, but not on a player. It was only the decoy, the stun, got Chichu the pick though, down to 2 HP. When he could tank a body shot, it was a different game, but now just one needed in return. One shot from any weapon and he's down and out. Xander's the one to land it. Smoggy though has kept things heavily in their favor. An accidental weapon swap for Xander, and he's trying to bait them in. But look at the 3 players pushing from the same angle. Jump spot to start. Beautifully handled there by Smoggy. Nobody's the one to find the kill that puts EDG up to 11. And we talked about this map. It's somewhere that should be favored to EDG. Looking at history, looking at the lack of history for 100 Thieves. And doing so dominantly certainly resets what we saw over on the previous map, where that first half was abysmal. But now, morale will be sky high going into that final map. Just 2 more rounds to lock it in.
Yeah, I think that definitely caught off guard by how 100 Thieves were playing that first map, but you could see it in the first half of this one. They were a lot more comfortable, and in the second half, that the same seems to be the case. It's a last-ditch effort from the coaching staff. Zik's given a chance to communicate with the squad, give them the last few ideas that he can come up with to try and turn this game into their favor, because right now at least they are in a pretty bad spot not really able to string any rounds together, and more importantly, like keeping that operator into the hands of Kankan, it completely changes the dynamic. If you're slow and he finds you, you're dead. And if you try and go for something pacey, he still might hit the shot. There's decent odds, I say probably like 70% plus, even if you're sliding at full speed, that he might still hit it. And that's then taken out of consideration that you still have to deal with Chichu, Smoggy W, and ZJC, which there's like... They're all doing pretty well.
Yeah, Chichu especially being good on containing that space. Oh, he's going in, but a rare miss from Kankan. The 30%. Yeah, indeed. The Stinger back in return. That's a potential huge upgrade for 100 Thieves. A great weapon to have in their hands. The man advantage will prompt EDG to get pushing towards this A site. Ready and waiting is Xander. Just on the other side of that cage. ZJC has an idea, and he'll get him. Okay, numbers equalized.
Yeah, a little bit of damage done. The operator has been handed over to Kara as well. I think he's missed the timing. He has. That walk-up is going to go completely unspotted, and it might not necessarily be the death of him. No, it won't. But the rest of the team could be in trouble. The Spike is the last man through. And nobody is following, tracking. He's got the scent. That operator, the biggest weapon that they have, is dead to rights, but nobody, he wants a little bit more. He is playing this so incredibly well. Here's the spike being planted, the swing out, and it's actually EU to put him down at least, but there's so much still to be put into hands. ZJC with another, and in fact, he'll close it out with 4. 12 rounds onto the board for EDG, and 6 in a row needed for 100 Thieves to even try for overtime.
Great read by Nobody too, realizing that that cam was being blocked out by the lantern in middle. And here you see actually exactly what you mentioned already, Tom. If you deal with Kankan, they still have so much to fall back on. And Nobody's flank was great. ZJC though, he was the one taking it. A 4 takes great utility that pushed Ascent out from that plant spot. The cam had already spotted him. They were ready to take him down, but the utility got ahead of it. The spike left in spawn by 100 Thieves here. You can see it's just going to be contact play across the map.
Yeah, I assume that will be Xander to collect. Does have the ultimate available. They're trying to bait Kankan. That's the thing about Kankan. You think like, okay, he's just gone for that face in the same position. Surely he'll be a bit more passive. No! And Arsenal not expecting what was a bit of an off angle. That's already as bad of a start as you could have. You've lost one, a second gone as well. Now the spike has finally been reclaimed, but this is already feeling like too little too late. The TP at least puts a little bit of danger, but he's been seen.
Yeah, the idea here, Nobody had already put Nightfall through. Didn't spot anyone. Gets past the first player, but now shot in the back.
Okay.
Xander and Cryo able to bring this back to even numbers. The timing. Oh, it's terrible for Cryo. He's picked off going into his ultimate. That should have been a free rotation. Information, droves of it. Smoggy.
Oh, we're even now.
Wasn't quite the TP he was looking for, but EU's gone into the smoke. Spike in hand, picked up Chichu. Kankan hot on his tail, swinging around. They're both in utility, but Xander gets his weapon out just in time. That was dangerously close, but 100 Thieves, they get at least one more round.
If he'd won that, that would have been the worst round I've seen in VALORANT this tournament by far. Like, that
smoke and drones.
Yeah, well, yeah, one player getting caught using their ultimate, one player get caught pushing, one player getting caught TPing, and almost 2 players being caught with utility. That was, wow, that was almost an absolute nightmare. Like, that was a split second between disaster. But hey, the 100 Thieves live to fight another day. 5 in a row needed. Operator still in hand for Kankan.
Take flight.
He's been battling for B main throughout the map so far. And although the Prowler doesn't get the information they want, after the drone is heard, they knew someone was there. Nobody has still just walked up, by the way. He has just taken that control for free. He's still going. He is still going. He's still going.
Boostio's hiding at least behind the box, but he's going to be cleared. It's a free pick for Nobody. You know, Not ideal, to say the least. Chichu's got Asuna.
Down A.
Now we're down to a 4v3. As Xander picks off another. Okay, that's Concon dead. That's a big player out of the round. Nobody somehow backstabbing another before he's dropped. Gaps for 100
There's another
Thieves.
player. There's
and there's
another
a
player.
second flanker coming up. ZJC's got a freebie. And that's the spike on the floor. 30 seconds. EU has an idea. And he's even shot him through the wall, straight to the dome.
30 seconds left.
But Smoggy still drawing breath. 25 seconds left. And look, they're just playing the regroup. ZJC back with his teammate now. 20 seconds left for EU. Time running desperately low, and he still has to get past ZJC. He's already tagged up the other player. It's winnable. 12 seconds. He's got to run. He's got to be fast, and he's got his knife out as he goes through the smoke. Smoggy's inside already, waiting for him to step on in. EDG, they've bought a third map in this series and done so dominantly.
Yeah, it was a solid performance from them. You saw some life in the likes of Xander, who definitely put up a decent performance individually, and these very aggressive roles. I think in EMEA, at least, we saw quite a bit of camo pulling out this agent, and it can definitely work. I think there's a lot of sort of angles that you can get into that normally you won't be able to make, those sort of like that space being garnered. I think as well, the saturate as an ability is something that I think works as almost like a stun that you can throw yourself. So it's definitely an interesting one, and I think with what we see with these sort of jet setups, it actually opens up more doors because you can get way further into position. So
There.
it's one hell of a time to bring it out for EDG. We'll see if it works.
Yeah, exactly as you said, it is a bit of a bold move at this stage of the game. Elimination on the line for whichever team drops the ball here. This is the lower bracket run, and that means that their key standing in front of the players on the stage now. At least one of those will be crushed before the day is over. EDG on the attack. The B site under pressure. Smoke flash already down, and here he goes. Concon on his way, and Boostio's caught him.
Yeah, the open up. Smoggy immediately there with the trade. In fact, Boostio's gone down alongside, and Chichu just waiting. Those mid-lurks on Sunset were a real problem for the side of 100 Thieves, and it seems like that is going to be a repetitive theme for them, with him just holding that ground. Arsena now on a slightly more passive agent of the KO. Nice couple of shots to start, but there are so many more to find and so little time to try and do it. He's hit another dink. It's a nice amount of headshots, unfortunately only rewarded with a singular kill. And back to winning ways, it is EDG with the first under their belt.
Yeah, Chichu's been having a wonderful performance. I think you look on the other side, this is a really rough series for Boostio. I think on Haven, 0 and 4 in opening duels. I think the previous map,
Remaining.
4 duels at all that went his way. Like, he has been shut down, and by contrast, the map control that they've had on the attack side because of Chichu, the punishment on some of those rotations, the defensive solo side holds, he has been leading the way, at least in some of the rounds. Overall, it has been Concon, but no one's surprised by that.
He's first of the other players.
Exactly, yeah.
To be honest, that's always something I feel with EDG. I think that at least, again, in the champs run, that Chichu sort of got his flowers. Like people, you realize how good this guy actually is, but it's always going to be difficult when the guy who's most of the time just doing these crazy aggressive rounds, winning them, gets MVP and sings a song. Like, you're not gonna be you're not gonna stand out more than that guy. Also has some of the most poetic lines I've ever heard, and stood up and did the sniper. Like, he's the cool guy, that's all I could say. And well, he started off this round with a bang as well. We've seen them take quite a bit of damage in some of these rounds, so I'm sure EDG would love a clean one.
I guess who's waiting for that rotation play? It is, of course, Chichu. Nobody's coming in to help him out. Might be needed for the trade. Cryo on just 9 HP. Recovered a rifle, but he is not long for this world.
Okay.
Does get another before falling. But
that's one rifle lost.
It is 1 lost, 3 carried forward, though. Not going to be the end of the world, and that is the key that's under threat in the 100 Thieves camp.
Yeah, at least dropping 1 means that maybe they're not going to come in with all 5 rifles for the next round, so... Or they'll have to gamble it. Either way, it's definitely better than nothing. Yeah, of course, for both of these squads, they are the clubs that are also fighting for that massive prize pool that could contribute to all of the other esports as well. So becoming one of the first teams to get your key crush and not earning the points that will help to that leaderboard is not something that either of these teams will want, but also they're both gunning for their own trophy. Xander, what a start he's had in this round. That's absolute destruction. They barely make it out of the choke, and the one player that did was dealt with immediately. He was a shining light on the last map, and it seems like he's not going anywhere.
He was even hit by the waylay stun and manages to connect those beautiful final 2 kills as well. Great timing on the spray. That's got to be frustrating for nobody. Kankan not quite able to convert that pickup, hoping his teammates would at least find him, but coming out of that smoke, well, they didn't make it very far. 100 Thieves, there's the vibe check. They're looking good. Operator in play for Cryo as well, and that could definitely be where things take a turn for the better for this squad. He's going straight in for this mid aggression. No dash even activated just yet. And it looks like nobody is just about to walk into him. In fact, it was ZJC who backstepped a little too early.
Didn't have the information over middle. Again, something that we've noted with EDG, especially on the first map, was they love those sort of set play executions and sort of feeling out the map and then falling back to one side. And when they were being pushed and pressured by 100 Thieves, that was when they really struggled. Well, the set play didn't work in the last round, and they've been pushed on this round, so both those sort of win conditions for 100 Thieves are in play. Now they have to make sure they clean this close angle. Kankan's dashed over the top, but he is yet to be spotted. That's a freebie, at least for one, but the trade back is there, keeping things at least in a workable position. However, the defense do have an advantage.
Well, it's not over till Kankan's dealt with, and Asuna, he thought that space was clear, was theirs, but not even close. Kankan's double has got them a plant and an advantage. Now in a 2 versus 1. And Xander, the player who picked up that 4K in the previous, has to pull off the 1v2 clutch. He's already been spotted. And as you said, Kankan has the ultimate. Could think about deploying it here as soon as they hear those steps, those boots on the ground. Spotted by the cam as well. Time ticking away. Pressure on for Xander. He's made his way around to the right side. That paranoia is perfect. It's caught them both. It could be a freebie, and Xander, he's done it again. The round for 100 Thieves.
How did he know? Like, well, I was going to give credit to EDG. They were both backside. They got spotted and they went, let's completely reposition. Let's go somewhere. As he just TV'd. He's just TV'd to get the off. I love that. That's how much they value the from the shadows, that they'll trade it for the off. But yeah, it was the complete reposition from the attacking side that I was like, okay, that's brilliant. Because he just seen you at the back, so why would he expect you to be there? Well, guess what? He expected you to be there. Like, that was a brilliant read from Xander. I don't know if there was a step made or something, but I don't think there was.
Xander's coming up clutch in this early half. He's already picked up 2 rounds for this squad. A 4K and a 1v2 clutch, and that accounts for all 6 of his kills. The A site push, it's going to be fast for EDG. Ult put through. Kankan chasing down Xander. He won't be getting away with any big plays this time. Shut down off rip. But they've still so much more to contend with. Cryo, off up top, good for 1. He'll get out of there even without the dash. Actually he won't get out. The players are joining him. He's looking for a fight. He's caught Kankan. He's dived in for more. And that round for 100 Thieves, it started off a bit shaky, but Cryo came in clutch.
I like that. He's trying to escape, and he's like, no, keep going. Come on, no, you're fighting them. Fight them all. Hey, if I'm his teammate and he can do stuff like that, why not? Just cleaning up the round with the operator. You can see, hey, it seems like just maybe getting rid of the from the shadows to save him an operator might have just been worth it. Who knows?
Potentially. I mean, too early to say, Tom.
Yeah, he got 33% of the kills with the shorty, so if anything, he only needed the pistol.
Exactly. who knows what he would have done with the judge, for example.
That is true.
Could have saved the game with a 4-piece. Well, 100 Thieves now 3-2 up. EDG, they started out well. Big plays by Xander, the operator in the hands of Cryo. Change the course of this map, perhaps even this series. Cryo going in aggressive, and it's Kankan waiting for them both. That has put a pin in 100 Thieves early fights. EU's going in for more. It's a big mistake. They are spoon-feeding Kankan all the kills he needs, and now he's got it off. That they will live to regret giving him.
I'll be honest with you. You look at this match so far and you go, oh, yeah, Kankan's really good on the waylay. I don't think there's been a single piece of utility that he's used that's been successful. I think he's just out-fragging everyone. Like, that was 3 kills that he got from them peeking him. That was nothing to do with, he threw the really cool slow or the dash. Like, of course it helps him take space, but it's just Kankan. I think he could be playing a Jet and it would make no difference.
It is attack side Ascent. He's ended up dropping the op as well. Just going to keep the rifle for the next. And I 100% agree with you, Tom. I think the only impact we saw from that specific utility, aside from the ult that was used to push into the site, fair enough.
But even then, the guy he killed wasn't hit by it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess it forced him to reposition.
It made him move.
Yeah, but the only real impact was that it got him killed on the dive into the A site, where he decided to throw the stun rather than take the fight. So, you know, realistically, it's only been a disadvantage for him. The guy is just cracked. 3-3. We're tied up here, and I'm expecting it to keep going this way. A back and forth affair. But if they keep pushing into Kankan, it might not be. He was gifted 3.
I see, look, technically he could have escaped there.
That's why he swung.
He didn't, but he could have done.
All adding up.
Well, they're having a great time. You can understand why. 3-3. We mentioned it before, like this map, especially for the 100 Thieves, last couple of times they played it, heavy defensive side success.
Back in a flash.
For EDG, they've proven, at least versus Titan, they could have great attack sides, but historically, again, it's that defensive side. Immediately, they have thrown in the Hunter Shuri. EU has managed to dodge that completely. I don't know how. It looked like it was going straight into the back of the site, but he hasn't taken a lick of damage, and instead, it's actually Cryo to find the first. But guess who's there to trade? And what, Chichi just goes running at his opponents. Blink and you miss it. It's all down to 1, and well, it's a nice try, but you didn't get the raid boss.
Started to believe in the ace there, forgot Kankan was still alive. That's my bad. A little bit of a misread. His 3-piece matches up to Cryo's, but the numbers keep on increasing on the EDG side of the scoreboard. This is a close angle, I'll tell you that. I like his glasses. Oh. Oh, I didn't catch that the first time around. Nicely done by Cryo. The op didn't even play that much of a role. It's becoming expensive as well. That economy constantly being pushed to the brink, and I think coming into the next, it should be somewhere they're struggling, right? Potential eco for them. EDG running away with this early half.
Well, you know as well,
when it comes to like doing our flood, we need to like...
Well, when it comes to doing their flood, they need to... And I think that's really what we've been missing here.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. It is going to be a tactical pause. 400 Thieves. But yeah, what I was going to say is when you look at Kankan, like, I think that he is someone coming into this event. You can see how pumped up he is. Like we're in that sort of elimination stage. The early stages of the tournament, especially for a team like EDG, they still had relative success at the first international. But I think you look at this guy right now and you go, this is a guy who didn't make the last international. I think that was the first one that EDG could have made that they didn't, because obviously before China wasn't within the way of getting to those international events. But he does not want to lose. Like, now that he's back at an international, obviously they'll gun for champions as well, but he seems so pumped up in every single round. And well, of course, for EDG, the pressure is on. They have a nation at their back, one that was very proud when they took champions home, but of course they're gunning for more.
Towards the A site we go. Pistols in play, but Cryo's in the right spot to get Smoggy on the TP. Kankan makes up for it with a quick pick, and nobody cheats you, so they follow suit. It's all pistols. The rifle recovered by EU, but he doesn't get much more than the 1, and so Boostio is left all alone. Spotted out by Kankan as he tries to retrieve a weapon, and it's an immediate punish on 100 Thieves. But like we said, that was a low buy, that was the pistols. This is a round that EDG earned with their previous. Now's the real challenge.
2 ults. Like, they immediately pop both of them. I do think part of that is just respect for 100 Thieves, because 100 Thieves have been so good at the low buys. Like, their pistols, shotguns, like,
Even
all
on
round
Sunset, yeah.
have been disgusting. So I think that was just a moment where EDG went, look, if we use null command and then the convergence path, they're not winning the round. They have no utility, and they should be set. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think the convergence path hit anyone again. But we'll ignore that, because it's fine when Khan can build it up every 3 rounds.
It did force a player to move, who then got a kill. So, yeah.
Peekaboo.
There we go. He spotted the info. Hunter's Fury goes through. Good connection. And Khan down early. A very valuable pick. A scalp taken, who's almost got as many kills as the rest of his team combined. Nobody down and out. Damage done to ZJC and Smoggy with the Hunter's Fury. 100 Thieves, they have a big advantage to play with. Only thing is, they've rotated heavy to the A site. Based on what we're seeing here, EDG may still walk into them.
He's been the one player you really haven't wanted to face off against on this 100 Thieves side over the last couple of maps. Having an incredibly impressive performance. Getting a little bit dangerous, though. Back to a 2v2.
I have the spike.
He's going to be able to get out of there and retrieve the spike. Now, they have already cleared the majority of middle. The B site's being looked upon, and it seems like they already have... Well, they definitely have all the information, because you don't run through a site like this if you don't.
Yeah, Chichu got all that space for them.
Spike planted.
EU and Cryo have to retake op in hand for Cryo. In terms of utility to break back through, they don't have their drone. Probably have to wait for the reveal to come on. That's just come on now. So they've at least got that to move towards the site. It's Chichu stood in this alleyway waiting for the peak. If EU can find this, they've got a good chance. He's at least avoided the danger at the start. Reveal pops, and here goes Cryo, but they're ready. Each fight taken and each fight won. EDG, they bounce back. Again, that start of the round was perfect for 100 Thieves. They came crumbling down, and that's a lot of momentum, a lot of wind in the sails of EDG.
Yeah, they seem to do very well when it comes to playing around that Hunter's Fury with the setup. But yeah, I feel like that was the turnaround moment. Just Smoggy being able to find that pick, secures control of the spike at that, and then is able to just rotate into the B site that the lurk of Chichu has already found. We've been highlighting a lot the impact of Khan, but his wingman has been Chichu. Just those late lurks, catching rotations, making sure that any attempt to support whichever site they decide to hit. Okay. Obviously, it's only a pistol for Cryo, but I don't think about what gun he had there. He didn't get a second to breathe.
I think, again, looking at that previous, you just have to highlight that, you know, Boostio, he's getting diffed by Chichu when it comes to those late round lurk ups. Chichu's having all the impact in the world, and right there, losing Boostio, losing all that utility on the B site, that's what gave them an easy route in and an easy plant. The man who was standing up to start this series out is being sat down a little bit. I love that. Khan gets in, uses the util to stun them up, and then TP's right back out. He's got info. He knows one was playing up close. Xander's already been dealt with. EU trades, places, classic out. It's a brave play, and nobody punishes. Doubles up as well. Oh, that looked like there was some real opportunity, but in the end, it will go the way of EDG as per usual. Chichu with the late lurk to close out the round.
Yeah, this is now, I'd say it's past dangerous territory for 100 Thieves. So you have had a lights out attack half. Your defensive half in the last 2 games versus MIBR and NRG have been your better by a considerable margin. In games that ended up being 13-9, 13-10, they are struggling, and they're going to use the pause once again. Like, try and get themselves back into this match, because I think if they don't get back to 5, they're going to have a mammoth attack side. And more importantly, you're then looking at the defensive side of EDG and go, okay, that's going to have to be rough. And I do not believe that's going to happen.
No. The only time we've seen weakness from them was the first half of this series.
Yeah. The attack side of Haven.
Yes, exactly. They were slow to start. They were looking like the same team that played Gen G. But now, a completely different flavor to what EDG are putting out there. And 100 Thieves are struggling to deal with it, even in rounds where they take Khan down, where they have advantages to build on, where they have massive damage dealt. by ultimates, by rifles, or anything in between. Failing on the trades, failing to keep that late space. It feels like there's always a door open to welcome EDG back into the round. So far, at least. This timeout, hopefully we'll see something change. Or 100 Thieves will be joining G2 with their key crushed and another America's team out of the running.
Yeah. XOG have fallen the same way. Of course, that is the brutality of this stage. 4 teams will lose their key as the rest go marching on. Deciders tomorrow and then the playoffs after that. Cryo already under serious pressure, but Xander again has dealt with the menace that has been Kankan. The executions onto this A site haven't had nearly as much success because of that. And you can see from the other side of the map in the form of Boosty, he goes, you know what, I don't want that smoke. I'm just going to make sure that while my team have managed to successfully defend A, I am not letting them near B.
I mean, that came off a single alarm bot being tripped. Killjoy ult, and it's a good job too. It bought time for EU to come into play. EDG looking to execute through as 3. 2-man disadvantage to play with. Should be the round that 100 Thieves finally get on the board. Cryo's on his walk through. Boostio's got the wall bang. This is it. This is 100 Thieves back in the saddle with Chichu falling. Boostio, solid round from him. That's what we needed to see. The ult helping out, buying time. And he's there to fight alongside his squad. Still possible for a 7-5 half.
Let's be honest though, like I think that a lot of that was EDG going, okay, we've had lots of success going towards this B site and playing into middle. We've not really been able to crack the A site, so chances are if they've taken a pause, they're going to adapt away from A. Let's try that push again. And instead, it was actually just the read from 100 Thieves that maybe the pause would trigger that, because they had the A site stack up. They had, more importantly, Xander. And that's been the one player that I really think on that side of the map has been causing issues. I wouldn't be surprised if EDG make a return to B, but I think 100 Thieves initially had the same idea. They knife it and then rotate back.
Especially considering he stopped the push on the A site in the previous, I think I can put 3 of these rounds for 100 Thieves down to Xander, down to his impact. And he has been phenomenal so far. Shining light in the darkness for 100 Thieves and giving them a leg up.
Oh, careful.
To climb back into this wall bang attempt. As long as it's not EU on the other side, you've got a chance at least. It looks like EDG spreading the net. I mean, they are looking for contact absolutely anywhere. The late game play will be to group up and pressure what has been that weakness towards the B site.
Hitting the brick, back in a flash.
Kankan already looking to put the pressure on. He's been using this a lot for information. Asuna tries to counter and succeeds. An impactful double that at least gives a little bit of room for Boostio to play with. The full force of EDG now remain on the B site, but there's not a lot of time to play with. Boostio just trying to hold on to the back of it. The cam will give away his position, but he's landing the shots, looks for a little more, and he gets it. It's left all on to Chichu. That 1 versus 1. And it's Xander up against him. You mentioned the amount of rounds this man has won for his team almost individually. He is slowly sneaking his way and spots his opponent. It's another clutch, and it's another round for 100 Thieves. They will at least bring it back to 5.
Well, Xander is the guy to close out the round, but you got to put your hands together for Boostio there. He's had a really rough map, started to come online towards the end, and that's given 100 Thieves a chance. But still an uphill battle for them in half number 2. Well, 2 rounds in it, 100 Thieves, they climbed back into the game to close out that previous half with 2 rounds. Now, for EDG though, it's the defensive side. Con had a great first half, but it's Chichu who ends up leading the charge 15-6. We've praised him all game for some of those late lurks. Now we'll see a solo site holds, and honestly, that's not the guy I want to be pushing into.
Yeah, and also on the other side of things, EU, a staple of the first couple of maps, is definitely having a rougher time. The fact is, though, it's not too late for a turnaround. One team will march on to the decider in Group D, the group of death. However, will claim its first victim and its first key. For these two partner organizations, that is not what they will be looking for. Khan already the point of contact, but they know he's here.
Oh, he's not going anywhere. Swings back into the angle and takes down Xander. Smoggy with the paranoia ready, buys a little bit more time, and they're worried about that short crunch. This is a much more direct play from 100 Thieves. A pistol here to put them right back into the game. Level things up, and I like that they're not just going to dive into that A site. The rotations have already come in, but they'll have to contend with nobody, having pushed all the way through B.
Just like Sunset all over again. Like, he was just taking ridiculous amounts of control.
Yeah.
And a lot of it did feel like, as you said, like, the lack of, well, for a better word, Chichu. It was because they didn't have that same impact on the lurk. The thing is, though, they're actually going to go splitting back in the other direction. So he hasn't been able to see almost anything, but it has still left multiple players to defend.
As that JC closed the door, they know he's up close. Dealing with him still costs another player. It's keeping numbers even. Smoggy blinded up. They'll make their way towards the site. Chichu swings. Smoggy does too, but they both fall at the hands of Boostio. A sliver of health left for him, and nobody in the 1 versus 1. Shock dart is good. It's tagged him up heavy and hard. 25 HP, and the reveal gives nobody all the information. He knows now that player is boxed in, and he even backs off. He's playing mind games with EU, hoping that he'll push out into the open, give him the opportunity. For now, at least, EU's just retreating. He's trying to find a safe space to hide, but nobody catches him on the fallback. EDG, 8 rounds on the board.
It did eventually work, didn't it? That was all he was trying to do, was just, okay, the lack of information is going to be enough for my opponent to make a mistake, and while nobody in those positions doesn't make mistakes. That was fantastic from him, but again, that needs to be something we keep an eye on, and how much control he is able to claim. It is Boostio to have a huge round individually, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough for them to get that one over the line, and we mentioned it, that a lot of the time when there's been success on this map for 100 Thieves, it's been on that defense. A pistol round really would have been nice.
Yeah, definitely. The problem is momentum for EDG. They already have that lead. They'll start to run away with this. The 3-round gap about to extend unless these pistols can work a bit of a miracle. A paranoia might have caught some of them, but the problem is it didn't catch Con. That's probably the player you want to blind the most. Easy closeout. Boostio does well to find one, but it's the Con show for the triple. Little bit of damage done, but 9-5 nonetheless.
Yeah, and this is where you're going to look more towards 100 Thieves to try and make some sort of response. This round was really just
One
an
enemy
attempt.
remaining.
A little bit of damage and some hope, but EDG now find themselves in a very good position. Similarly to the last map, 4 rounds needed on this defensive side.
Shutting them down.
But this spy's not the best. A couple of Sheriffs, Guardian, and some Bulldogs. Definitely more of a bonus round, as the next is where we expect to see the proper weaponry come into play. Maybe even the operator could be dropped over for Khan, which we've already seen it across the last couple of maps. When he has the op, it really is a different gravy, and when he's playing that Waylay and has the chance to retreat after the first shot, I wouldn't like to be against it.
That's definitely dangerous. Using himself as a recon dart sometimes. Others just going in to cause some problems with the stun. I don't think we've seen him too often be set up for those fights to use the fallback, but definitely could by the end of this. If EDG win this round, I think that is the beginning of the end. We're well on the path, the home stretch. The 100 Thieves being understandably very cautious. Still, the site they're going towards has 3 players on it. Nobody's already found the first. He's followed up with more. The Guardian doing so much work here for EDG. Paranoia's good. Ascent does manage to make it out unscathed, but nobody's 4! And so close to the ace! Still, he's done enough!
They had 2 Bulldogs, 1 Guardian and pistols, and the 1 Guardian probably should have got the ace, I'll be honest. I think the last kill was the easiest of the lot, but the game can be a cruel mistress sometimes. Just immediate couple of openers. That was already bad enough for the 100 Thieves, but this may have just been the nail in the coffin. So clean with that Guardian. And well, yeah, it's a good round, but desperately close. Their key is looking shiny, but more importantly, it's looking safe.
Yeah, it certainly is. The Crusher is calling out to the 100 Thieves key. 5 to 10. EDG on double the rounds and 100 Thieves on an eco. Moving towards the B site by the looks of things, and if they bring it there, it's Con and it's Chichu that you'll have to get past. That is not an ideal scenario. At least for now, they're going to try to work that mid control, but you know, you're working with Sheriffs. It's not somewhere that you're going to go pushing out to in the late game. Indeed, they move back towards B main, which means past the trips, past Chichu, and then dealing with Con, who is hiding on the back of the B side in Boathouse.
Getting ready. What will be an incredibly difficult take. You look at the weaponry that's available, and it stinks. Maybe the Hunter's Fury can pad the gap a little bit, but it's just whether or not he decides to spam it directly into the backside. It has been utilized. Chichu's gone down, but there is a second threat that they need to deal with, and the Hunter's Fury hasn't connected, at least just yet. Repositioned slightly, but still in this back corner, and still just going crazy with this rifle. He has bought the time for the support to come in, and well, once EU finally makes it here after the Hunter's Fury, he has got no friends left. We are down to just 1 thief, and he will be dealt with as well.
I like that attempt from Con too, trying to use the refract to dodge the Hunter's Fury. He still gets hit by it, but the quick reposition grabs him one more. The stun not even needed. Nobody was quickly flooding back in. You see it here. He picks up an easy double knowing there's a player in that corner. The 1 pick that they found, not even nearly enough, and that's the problem. They didn't know going in there that, you know, the 2 strongest players here on this map for EDG so far were the 2 they were trying to get past. And now it all comes down to this, a rifle round that the last chance for 100 Thieves to start the comeback that they need. 6 rounds behind their opposition. EDG just needing 2 with all credits on the line for the attackers. He's going.
Oh, they have got to be so careful. They've definitely spotted him, and of course that means the escape, but instead it's Cryo to at least be able to find a couple back. Give them the man advantage for this round. He's one off a Blade Storm. Con's going to go for it again. This time he doesn't have the utility to keep him safe, and well, eventually will go down, but nobody is still available. And now going to look to double back in towards this B side. Timing's going to be everything. There's a chance that nobody could catch him instead. Hearing the TP across, maybe a little bit wary that that could have been an attempt to bait him. Instead, he might actually just get himself the 1v1s. It seems like Boostio will get into position.
Yeah, they're lined up nicely now. On Boostio's contact, Xander will swing. The reactions needed for nobody to get away with this, or Surreal. Reveal goes out. Oh, it was so close! But Xander, always reliable for 100 Thieves. He'll lock in the 6th round. So many more needed, though.
Yes. Like, every single time I've seen one of their players in a clutch scenario, and probably Xander on the other side, there's a level of belief. Well, you can see that level of belief from Con. The fact that he's just running dry through smokes to try and end this game as quickly as possible. Maybe it will be their undoing, but I have a feeling eventually, one of those times it will work. 5 rounds the difference.
Get out of my way!
A mammoth attack side needed from 100 Thieves, something we haven't seen from them throughout this EWC, including the qualifiers on this map. Cryo gonna have himself the Blade Storm. Ever present, ever dangerous. They are pushing into what is the weaker site as of now, if you can call it that, with Chichu and nobody in close proximity.
You should run.
Well, that should at least save them a bit of bother. Chichu forced out of this site as the lockdown stands strong. The dash in Cryo clears all the space, and a plant can now be found on the back of the site. But in the meantime, hello? He's just taken Xander down through the wall. Looking for a little more, tagged up heavy at least. But the players using the smoke to get on out. EDG flooding back towards the switch and landing themselves a few. Nobody with two keeps the advantage in their favor. Concon has ultimate and it's going to be put through. Cryo forced into the open. He gets a free kill. And ZJC with it all to do. But it's only one. Asuna, he knows where he is. The nade is good. Ooh, yeah, he's just gotten past it though. And ZJC's not ready for that. A three-piece from Asuna. An 11-7 as a result. 4 rounds between them. The problem here is, though, Tom, these rounds are becoming incredibly close, and it feels like EDG are always just one shot away from putting 12 on the board.
Solid opener.
One enemy remains.
But I really like the re-aggression. I think they had that realization that the convergence path was coming, and with that site being so tight, there's really not a lot of places you can stand where you won't get stunned. So they played ahead of it, gave them the only chance they had, and while Arsenal took that chance with both hands, they still are yet to break the bank of EDG, but the next round will do it. That would get them within just 2 from a game that was looking done. A round victory here might just ignite the fire of 100 Thieves and put the reigning champions at risk.
Well, the mid control's given. Play here from Concon, who's been the threat around middle, is to sit in wine and hope that this is an A play. It's a big gamble with 3 players towards that side of the map. No real information kept around middle. Jump peaks for the most part. Paranoia is thrown through on A. Hunter's Fury as well. Oh! They've gotten away with an opening pick. That Hunter's Fury was to punish A main to get a bit of information. And instead, they've now got the advantage. Reveal is great, but Chichu, whoa! He gets enough damage in, nobody following up. What? But EU somehow picked up a double. That equalizes the numbers. That puts it back into a winnable space,
mid.
but the spike is on short, alone, and challenging Concon. That's a freebie. EU, 3 kills to his name already, but sprinting towards Concon. There's 12 seconds left. The door has to be wide open, and of course, Concon is just waiting for his chance to take them down. This is done. Even if he doesn't find the kill, the clock was going to defeat them. That is a big mistake to give Concon the spike like that.
Well, it was initially just bad luck. Like, the player that got hit by the Hunter's Fury had the spike. So then when the rest of the team went for their play into B, I don't know, I think it might have been Xander, went to collect it, went, okay, well, we've seen that a player's gone down on the B site, let's try and go in the other direction, and just walks into the best player in the server. Like, it's unlucky, but it's one that was kind of caused by just the chaos that was created by EDG. 25-11, by the way. Any doubt? I don't know who's doubting at this point. Fools. But this guy is back in form. Hunter's Fury and Arsena's Stinger, but it's a very quick trade back. That advantage was barely felt.
At the beginning of the end, it seems Xander does well. Damage done to ZJC too. I mean, this could come back into their favor with a TP to the other side of the map. EU lurking up on mid, but he's been tagged heavy. And the shock doesn't soften up Chichu enough. He survives on 3 HP. They've got the bodies. And fighting in is Concon, and he wins that somehow! Asuna!
They're both low.
He needs a plant. They are both low. And it's a Stinger that he's got. The perfect weapon to quickly clean them up. And those sprays, close as they may be, not close enough. Ascent is still drawing breath. They'll push this together though.
Oh, even if they do, that might end up playing in his favor. A single burst from that Stinger could be enough to take them down. He's in the corner, but of course, they're so low, they're not going to spam it. They're never going to spam it. He's running across. Asuna takes them both. They are keeping themselves alive by the skin of their teeth. And hit with 4 kills off the back of a Stinger. That is madness.
That's a couple of really big rounds from Asuna, keeping them alive. I don't know how he got away with that, but so quickly punished. You see it here. This was the start of it. This was the end. A beautiful swing, perfectly timed. And if Chichu wasn't 3 HP there, that's a completely different game. They're feeling good in the 100 Thieves camp, but plenty more to go. Just 1 round needed for EDG to take this across the line. And a timeout will be called, presumably by them, as they look to steady the ship. 100 Thieves have been decent at stringing these rounds together. But again, they've all been so close.
Yeah.
The rounds they win are nail biters. The rounds EDG win are dominant.
It's definitely felt that way. EDG have been in the driver's seat, but it's safe to say that the 100 Thieves are not going down easy. They are kicking and screaming and taking rounds at the closest margins. Think about it, we mentioned that probably 3 or 4 rounds came down to Xander, be it with a 1v1 or 1v2. I think it was multiple spray downs on the solo A site hold. Now Arsena alongside Cryo have been there. Boostio's had his rounds. Like, this team have proven that, okay, they may not have made it to the internationals in a while, but they definitely can still swing with the best of them. Losing 13-11 to Fnatic in that first matchup. The team in the final of Masters Toronto now facing off against EDG. And now it's EDG who are on the back foot in terms of the weaponry, but you always have to be careful.
Oh, they've seen this one before. Chichu playing with his util. The second player deep on site being Concon. 100 Thieves knew what they were facing. Well handled. The post plant up against pistols. A rifle in the hands of Smoggy. A rifle not in the hands of Smoggy anymore. Gone to Chichu, but maybe they can hope for a bit of damage. A few old Dorbs farmed, but that is all that they will get. EDG, they finally faced off against a dominant round from 100 Thieves as the North American side continues their climb back into this. An overtime needed, but it's not that far away.
No, we thought we were going to get an overtime on map number 1 as EDG had to make a similar climb. 100 Thieves have definitely found their footing. A 4-round streak at the start of this half and then a 4-1 in response. They need to max out at 5 in a row and then continue that form into overtime. It still feels like it's a little bit away from being a reality, but EDG have definitely been sweating a little bit when it comes to some of these late games, when it comes to moments where they need to close. On Sunset, it looked a little bit easier. On Haven, it looked like they'd made the comeback happen but failed. Are they going to let this one slip?
But it does just feel like you need that 1 round from Concon, 1 round from Chichu. It won't be his this time. It's Concon that's got the challenge. Oh, the damage is huge. Cryo just about surviving. A Bulldog, the weakest weapon for this squad in the hands of Concon. And almost claiming a kill already. Certainly slowing down the push as Asuna had activated his ultimate. They had Chichu off site so the traps didn't go down. And yet they're not able to push on the back of it thanks to that stall utility.
That's scary as well. With 40 seconds left, there are no ults even remotely close to the side of 100 Thieves. So whereas a single kill for Concon would put that Converger's path back online. He's going to make the move across and actually spot them on the corner. That's quite a lot of information for the team, but he's going to be the one under pressure. And he doesn't get the job done. In fact, it's Cryo and EU spamming through the smoke once again. Who could have guessed it? And with 3 players an attempted retake just doesn't seem like a plausible good outcome for the side of EDG. They are going to have to save. 100 Thieves are continuing this streak. They will be at double digits. They will be at 10.
Just 2 away now. It has been a really impressive climb back from this squad who previously couldn't put a dominant round on the board. Now they're stringing them together. For EDG, saving these weapons, definitely the priority, and well, it seems like they'll get away with it. EU is the real hunter here, as his ultimate implies. For that attacking side, more of the same. They need these rounds to continue in relatively dominant form because they've won those clutches. They've been ahead, but because of that, the game's been on a knife's edge a number of times. Coming into this round with the saved weapons, the weapons carried forward, it gives them a chance to get a really strong buy. Con, light shields, and the big gun. This is where things could take a turn for the worse for 100 Thieves.
Well, you know how much faith they have in this man when nobody, the second top fragger, on his team, on the server, has taken no shields in order to get that man an op. And honestly, I 100% agree with the decision. It was 5-11 at one point in this game. We now sit with a difference of just 2 for 100 Thieves. A victory here would be big problems economically for EDG and potentially give us an overtime that could send the 2024 champions out of the tournament in dead last. Khan though stands between them, but again he's gone down first. Cryo has dealt with him 2 rounds in a row, and what was a heavy investment into the superstar has come up with nothing.
Nobody wishing he had those shields now. The fight seems to be coming Chichu's way. They'll be caught by the trap, but nothing comes of it. Chichu knows, though, that these players are getting close. Both cages up. He's built a wall, an area to defend, but they're about to go down, and he only grabs the one. Smoggy is in there with a double though, emerging from heaven, the savior of EDG in this round. EU, a sliver of health, and nobody, he could even end it with that shock dart he had primed in his bow. For EU, this needs to be an unbelievable clutch, and it is unbelievable as EDG take it across the line with a chance for revenge against Gen G. They continue their lower bracket run, and the key of 100 Thieves, despite one hell of a well-fought series, will soon be crushed.
It has to feel like a brutal defeat. They came into this tournament in the group of death, and I think you looked at that group of death and went, okay, you've got 2 teams that perform well at the last Masters, the other is a Champions winner, and then you got 100 Thieves.